Well, being young and I kind of got on the ground. I hate to admit this now, sort of in the fetal position. Sort of like, what is this? And it was had this beautiful almond-shaped eye, like deer eyes. But it was an extraterrestrial biological life form. And he came up to me and touched me on my right shoulder. And whatever happened, the electromagnetic effect of it, all my hair, I had more hair then, stood on end completely. And I was totally electromagnetized. And subsequently, we went from there and in an instant went on board this craft. And what happened after that is sort of metaphysical in the sense that we seem to dematerialize and then appear out in space. And I was sitting with these other extraterrestrial beings in a meditative state. And people say, well, what were they saying? I said, it wasn't about saying, it was about being. But what we did was that I was teaching them what it was like for a young man, to be in cosmic consciousness as a human. And then that's where we met. We met in that state of cosmic consciousness. And then we created what's known as the CE5 protocols, the Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind protocols. That's where they came from. And basically I began to practice this ability with them to see them in the mind's eye and then vector them to a location and have an encounter. And they told me that at some point this would be very important to know how to teach other people.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Steven Greer, and I am the founder of the Disclosure for Cash movement. Some of you may be aware of my various cash grabs. Disclosure ain't cheap, okay? Disclosure costs money, okay? So if you want to know about the aliens, you got to send me money. Lots and lots of money. I have been here this past week tutoring and mentoring young Steven Cambian in the art of the cash grab and how to praise the cash properly. So I offered to do this be a guest host for him so that I can address some of the recent controversies. And I will also be reading mean emails that I get from people complaining about all of the money that I have been making with my Disclosure for Cash scam. I mean, business. It's a business, okay? And I love my business, okay? I was a medical doctor, just a country bumpkin doctor, an ER doctor. You can make a good living doing that, but you can make much more money selling people alien disclosure, okay? So that's what I've been doing for some 20 years now. Make sure you buy my app, okay? You could talk to the aliens. Well, you can't talk to them, but you could contact them. Well, there's no proof that you'll actually contact extraterrestrials, but, it's in the disclaimer. So just give me the $10, okay? Buy it on iTunes, okay? I'm only here for a minute. Wanted to pay Mr. Greer a tribute. Send me some money, Keats, you loser. Send me some money so you can contact the aliens. All right. So recently I went out and let everyone know that I would be raising money for an emergency documentary film. Okay. Even though the first film I made raised almost $1 million in crowdfunding, and a documentary doesn't cost anywhere near $1 million. This is a great business. I love it. And then my second documentary, right? That one raised $1 million or so, or almost $1 million, as I recall, in crowdfunding. And that one didn't cost anywhere near $1 million. Listen, a good documentary, you need an editor and a cameraman. It costs like $10,000 or $20,000. And I get to pocket the rest of the money. It's a great business. So my latest crowdfunding is for a film we're making, and it's an emergency. So you got to hurry up and send me money because this is an emergency and we have to get this film out. Okay. It's called The Cosmic Hoax. and it's about the fake alien invasion. Who told me about the fake alien invasion? One of my friends who worked for Werner von Braun. So this is coming straight from a Nazi scientist. Why shouldn't we trust a Nazi scientist telling us stories about a fake alien invasion that's going to happen, okay? People are saying I don't have evidence or proof that there's going to be a fake alien invasion other than that Nazi who told that girl that works for me. Yeah, you're right. I don't got any evidence. But it hasn't stopped me from collecting hundreds of thousands of dollars from stupid people all over the internet who believe in aliens, right? Who believe in UFOs. They want the truth. I didn't give them the truth in my first film, and I didn't give them the truth in my second film, right? What was my first film? Oh, it was about the fake alien mummy, right? Yeah, that was fake. Sorry, I'm keeping the money. I don't care if that alien was fake. I'm keeping all that money. And the second one, that was kind of crappy too. No, I didn't give you the truth in that one. But I'm keeping the money. I'm definitely keeping that money. Okay? Yeah. And even though I can't prove that you can contact aliens with an app I've been selling for, I don't know, 5 or 10 years now, right? Or I don't know how long I've been selling that app. But I've been taking a lot of money from a lot of stupid people, right? And it's a great business. I love this alien con business. Oh wait, Alien Con. That's something else. That's a conference. That's not my business, but it sounds like my business. You know, Alien Con. So I have my new film that we're going to be making called The Cosmic Hoax. Okay, and we're going to share something from my website here about that film and show everybody how much money I get to keep. I mean, how much I raised from this film, The Cosmic Hoax, and an expose, right? Yeah. Okay. Oh, I almost spilled the beans there. Oh, look at this. So here's where you can donate. You can buy my app, the CE5 app, and you too can contact aliens. I mean, you read the disclaimer, okay? Just buy the app. You want to commune with aliens, okay? So the film we're making is called The Cosmic Hoax, an expose. And like I said, it's about the fake alien invasion. And the only evidence I have is secondhand testimony that this was going to happen from a Nazi scientist, a former Nazi scientist, I should say. Then he worked for NASA. You know, Project Paperclip. We just whitewashed that Nazi's whole background. Forget about those tens of thousands of English people he killed with his rockets, right? Forget about that. Forget about that. He helped us with the moon missions, okay? So that Nazi scientist gets a pass for being a Nazi and helping Hitler kill thousands and thousands of people, innocent people. All right? He's a good source. I don't care what anybody says. A Nazi, just because he was a Nazi, okay, Heil Hitler, doesn't make him a bad person, okay? He was German. They all were hailing Hitler. All right. And the film is created by me, Dr. Steven Greer, MD, who brought you Serious, Unacknowledged, and Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. Oh, I forgot. That was another film that I raised almost $1 million for. You know, near as my recollection, at least 2 of these 3 films, I raised $1 million in crowdfunding for. And you stupid people, oh, geez. Okay, so The Cosmic Hoax, an expose. Because of your support, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind reached tens of millions of people last year and inspired audiences around the globe to initiate peaceful diplomacy with extraterrestrial civilizations. For this, Dr. Greed and his team, that's me, Dr. Greed, are very proud and grateful. However, the success of the film has provoked a number of troubling responses. Recent developments since that release of the film indicate that we are racing against the clock to thwart a hoaxed alien invasion that Dr. Steven Greer has been warning us about for decades. Yeah, I have. I've been telling you that the fake alien invasion is coming for decades, and now it's going to happen. Do I have a date? No. Somebody asked me when it's going to be. I don't know. No, I don't have a date. Okay, just send me the money. This is an emergency. Send me the money. Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. We are back at it again because Dr. Steven Greer is back at it again. He's got another crowdfunding adventure going where he's raised almost $600,000 this time to make another documentary, which will likely cost him nowhere near $600,000 to create. That's part of the problem that I have with him. This man raises $500,000 to $1 million to make a film and then show it to any documentary filmmaker and ask them, how much do you think that this film costs to make? And they will laugh when you tell them how much he claims it costs to make. We never get any sort of accounting statement from Steven Greer showing the expenses of the film or anything. And I mean, yeah, he's a private company, so he doesn't have to release that. But if he's going to continually go to the public and beg for money to make films, shouldn't there be some accountability there? Shouldn't he have to show us that he actually spent the money he claims he needs to make the film on the actual film? Otherwise, I just don't trust this man. And there's good reason that I don't trust him, because he has been one of, I got to give him this, he has been one of the most successful grifters selling fake alien bullshit for 20 years plus. And it goes way, way back. So far back that UFO Watchdog, there is UFO Watchdog, for those unaware, is a great old website, but it is a very old website. And even there, it catalogs some of Dr. Steven Greer's huge lies, false promises, and ridiculous fake stories. Here we'll just take a sampling. Reportedly plagiarizes the UFO works of others and sells it as his own. In fact, there was some sort of legal trouble with a UFO organization for a time because he was taking documents that didn't, copyrighted documents that didn't belong to them, and selling them or promoting them and getting paid money to promote them that wasn't his material. Sells do-it-yourself ET contact kits. Now you too can steer in extraterrestrial spacecraft with a flashlight and never record them, just like Dr. Greer does. Made claims of contacting extraterrestrials through meditation. Claimed the U.S. military forces attacked a Colorado ET base inside a mountain using nerve gas. No evidence to back up his claim. Had dinner with a CIA director and spun a tale of having briefed that CIA director about ETs for hours. That turned out to be a completely and totally false claim, and we'll show evidence of that. Hosted press conferences with credible UFO witnesses on Capitol Hill. Ruined it and his own credibility by selling the work of others with his name on it and using bogus witnesses. Allegedly attempted to charge the Washington State MUFON members $2,500 each to demonstrate how he can vector in UFOs. Greer got to choose the location and time. And this, by the way, he also claimed for a time that SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, was getting extraterrestrial signals constantly and covering it up. But Seth Shostak, who is a credible scientist who is searching for extraterrestrial life, I actually kind of like Seth Shostak, seen him on many credible documentaries. He said, quote, "Well, I've known him and occasionally debated him on the radio for years, and he's always been bonkers. 2 weeks after he claimed we had a secret detection, he was telling radio audiences that when Neil Armstrong stepped out on the moon in 1969, he was surrounded by alien spacecraft." And here's one of those other things. You know, those expensive retreats, right, where you could pay $2,500. Now it's up to $3,500. You can pay $600. There's this other thing where he had an event that was only $600. But these E-SETI, C-SETI, whatever he calls it, CE5 events cost big bucks to attend. And, you know, he essentially promises that you're going to see alien spaceships and maybe extraterrestrial aliens. Here is one of the extraterrestrial entities that he showed. It had a viewing fee of $800. He called it a light being loved one. And for a side-by-side comparison, sorry it's so small, common woodland moth viewing fee free. Oh, you know what? I have this somewhere. 1 second. Or here, let me do it right now. 1 second. We can blow that up so you can see it a little bit better. Let me change my screen share here. And by the way, welcome everyone. Let me change my background too. That is so ugly. I don't want to look at Dr. Steven Greer's half-naked body through this show. That's much better. All right. So let me stop the screen share. I'll show you. This here. Yeah. So here was one of those things that people got to see for their $800. Greer CSETI extraterrestrial entity viewing fee, says UFO watchdog, $800. It's a light being, a loved one. And here's a common woodland moth. And by the way, they're all over near my cabin. So if anybody wants to pay $800 to see these things, hey, come out to my cabin. I will be happy to show you light being loved ones, also known as, boy, how am I even going to try to say that? Prototame virginalis, a common woodland moth. Absolutely ridiculous that this man gets to charge people money and make these ridiculous claims while at the same time somehow staying out of prison for fraud-related charges. Yeah, and it really has reached a level with him that I think that he should be investigated for some of these various scams that he has run over the years, because he so far has just gotten away with it. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about why the UFO community is a complete and total failure as a community. But here's the problem. The problem, as I see it, is that people in the UFO community do not call out this level of garbage. And they keep booking him at UFO conferences. They keep paying him to do whatever it is that he does. People, perhaps misinformed people, keep paying him to events and see this ridiculous nonsense that he calls proof of aliens. And it is important to note that this man has been making millions and millions of dollars for 20 plus years now. Where is his proof of these claims? While it could be said that he presents so-called evidence, what does he present? Well, in one case, you know, the Admiral Wilson story, you know, the fake Admiral Wilson documents that were supposedly brought to us by wackadoo scientist Dr. Eric Davis. He's a wackadoo. And Eric Davis's research has been called, quote, crackpot research, unquote, by newspaper journalists. His research has been called crackpot research, right? But in that story, he claims that he briefed Admiral Tom Wilson. And we're going to get into the briefings because we have incredible amount of proof that his claims about briefing world leaders constantly are all lies. He has never once provided proof, with the possible exception of, if you want to call a meeting with Admiral Tom Wilson a briefing. And by the way, Admiral Tom Wilson is on record as stating he only took that meeting out of respect for Dr. Edgar Mitchell, you know, because he was a moon astronaut. So he respected Mitchell. Mitchell brings in this wackadoo with him. Mitchell later fell out with him because Greer lied about things that he says that Mitchell said that he claims he never said. And he tried to use the credibility of Edgar Mitchell in various of his, well, shady business dealings. So what we get with Steven Greer, he constantly says he's briefing world leaders. We do know that he did have a meeting with Admiral Tom Wilson, but Tom Wilson only took the meeting because Edgar Mitchell brought him. And the second thing that you need to know is that he's claiming that he's briefing world leaders. When he was in the meeting with Admiral Tom Wilson, he gave a decorated Navy admiral a completely and totally fake top secret document about aliens. That document, called the NRO document, was completely and totally 100% fake. And if you don't want to take my word for it, take the word of a real expert on secret documents, government documents, and classification, because the person who proved that document that Dr. Steven Greer gave a decorated Navy admiral, the person who proved that document was 100% fake, was a real expert on government documents, John from the Black Vault. He has it's on the blackvault.com, the fake NRO document tied to the Wilson documents fake story. So there we have it. This man is briefing. Oh, he's briefing world leaders, but the only one we're sure that he actually had a meeting with, he gave that world leader a completely and totally 100% provably fake so-called top secret document about aliens. Further, Dr. Steven Greer gives out a handout or a biography of himself to everyone who interviews him. And we know this because many, many people who have interviewed him read it word for word at the start of the interview. This interview that we are going to preview tonight from the Sean Ryan show. And by the way, in Sean Ryan's about page, he says, quote, if there is anything you can come to expect on this channel, it is pure honesty, unquote. And Sean Ryan, unfortunately, fell into the same trap of many people who interviewed Dr. Steven Greer, and they read the biography that he provides, which starts with, he has briefed many world leaders from around the world about extraterrestrials and aliens, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. Unfortunately, many interviewers, including interviewers from very, very big channels and shows, have fallen for that lie. It's a complete and total lie that he has briefed world leaders, and we are going to prove it tonight. Now, it's important also to note that the last person who fell for that, that's how he sets the stage. Dr. Steven Greer gives the interviewer this biography, which says, Dr. Steven Greer has briefed world leaders around the world about extraterrestrial life and alien visitation. No, he hasn't. And I am calling his bluff. Show me a world leader that you have briefed. Let me get an on-the-record comment from a world leader who says they got a briefing from you, Dr. Steven Greer, because despite your lack of evidence that you have briefed world leaders, we have evidence that you have lied about briefing world leaders, and we're going to share it tonight. Dr. Steven Greer has claimed at various times to have briefed President Donald Trump. We proved that was fake. Donald Trump neither requested a briefing, nor received one, nor ever heard of Dr. Steven Greer. He claimed that he briefed Vice President Pence. Again, Vice President Pence never either requested a briefing from Dr. Steven Greer, nor received one, nor had he ever heard of Dr. Steven Greer. Didn't even know who he was, both of them. He has claimed to brief CIA Director James Woolsey. We have on the record letter from him refuting those claims. Dr. Steven Greer claimed that he briefed Bill Clinton while he was the president. The sitting CIA director who worked for Bill Clinton refutes that claim, claiming that never happened. He is dishonest. He lied, right? He claimed to brief a sitting DIA director. We have on the record comments from the DIA director at the time he made those claims that he didn't request nor receive a briefing from Dr. Steven Greer. He made that up. How many times is this man going to be allowed to go on a public live stream and lie to people that have millions of subscribers, right? He's going on these huge shows that have 1 million subscribers, and unfortunately, the show hosts are either too misinformed or too busy to even fact check the claims he makes in his own biography. Unfortunately, Kurt Jemungel was the last person before this Sean Ryan to fall for this, because when Kurt Jemungel of Theories of Everything interviewed Dr. Steven Greer. And by the way, he did, to be honest with you, a piss poor job, because he had a big supporter of Steven Greer sitting next to him, helping him do the interview, right? Bad idea. Should have had somebody that knows the history and isn't just a stupid fan that believes this man's lies. So Kurt Jamungal, I sent him all this evidence, some of which we're going to be sharing tonight. He changed his video. He took that introduction reading that Dr. Steven Greer has briefed world leaders out of his video, to the best of my remembrance of it. At least he had the integrity to not lie to his audience, to correct that inaccuracy in Steven Greer's biography. And by the way, we want to welcome everybody here. We have great attendance tonight. One second, let me change one thing here. Yeah, I am gonna review the live chat. I noticed during that Steven Greer introduction, by the way, that was pre-recorded, just in full transparency. I thought, because history repeats itself. And I did that some time ago when Steven Greer was begging for $500,000 to make a film the last time. Now he's begging for $500,000 again to make another film. It's absolutely ridiculous that this man can get away with this. History repeats itself. And why are we here again? It's because no one but me, majorly, stood up and called him out for his lies, fabrications, half-truths, and bullshit the last time he begged for $500,000. And by the way, he's making films with Third Phase of Moon now. Nothing says credible source of information like making your films with the biggest UFO hoaxer fraudsters in the history of UFO fraudster hoaxers, right? Third Phase of Moon have been caught hoaxing videos constantly, faking videos constantly. They admitted that they faked many of them. They even used their own 4-year-old child to fake an alien video that they defrauded the public with some time ago. We want to thank all you kind and generous benefactors. I missed a few super chats during that long introduction. You look like one of those peeps from the Twilight Zone, says the Popsicle Ocean. I think you mean the mask, but yes, thank you very much for your kindness, generosity, and support. And we thank Amy WC with a kind and generous $3 saying disclosure costs money. Praise the cash. Yep, we're praising the cash, but I'm not promising you alien disclosure. I'm promising you that I'm going to do the best I'm going to bring you the truth to the best of my ability to do so. Arden Paranormal with the kind and generous $2 super chat. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. And we thank all of you kind and generous Patreon members, Twitch subscribers, and YouTube channel members. And we appreciate all of you for helping us to praise the cash. We're going to try to get through this. I have quite a presentation prepared for you tonight.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
Thank all of you. We really appreciate your kindness, generosity, and support. Promise the cash clown. Yeah, he's doing great. He just had a tooth fall out, and he was happy about it. He's like, that means I get money, Dad. I'm like, I know, the tooth fairy's coming, bro. And the tooth fairy came, and he got some money. He was very happy. All right, so we're going to start just with his claims of briefing sitting CIA director at the time, James Woolsey. And this is perhaps the most famous one. And it's interesting that his office, James Woolsey's office, will confirm that Steven Greer is full of crap, right? Steven Greer never briefed anybody, never briefed this guy especially. All right. Reply from Jim Woolsey. Dr. Greer is not telling the truth. See the attached 1999 letter regarding a small dinner party in 1993. So for those unaware, essentially this is why this guy is a pathological liar, right? Because one of the things you'll notice if you ever encounter a pathological liar is they'll take a little tiny thing of the truth that actually happened, and they turned it into this big grandiose thing. So somewhere in 1993, CIA director, I think he might have been the former CIA director at the time, maybe not, I'll have to check the timeline, but James Woolsey was a CIA director. So he was at a small dinner party in 1993, and it just so happened that Steven Greer somehow got seated near him and his wife. They were kind to Greer. They listened to him. He talked about aliens and stuff, and they were just being polite and humoring him. But that's not a briefing, right? He claims that he briefed people in the White House, and, you know, he goes to the Pentagon basement, garbage peddler. So small dinner party in 1993. Also, I know of no meeting between Dr. Greer and President Clinton with respect to this subject. What subject? Aliens and disclosure and UFOs. Please feel free to share this letter and the 1999 letter with anyone, including any website that discusses such matter. Sincerely, R. James Woolsey. So why can Dr. Steven Greer just run around? By the way, he put the fact that he briefed this guy in a book that sold a lot of copies, and he made a lot of money with proven factual falsehoods, also known as lies. And here's the actual letter. It has come to the attention of the four of us that you have, without giving say of us. Hold on a second. I'm going to have to read this from another source. I apologize. Can't make it bigger. 1 second. Let's get into this. Oh, wait a minute. I have a better one here. Okay. Let me share this tab instead. It has come to the attention of the four. Oh, let me see. I can even make that bigger, maybe. Yeah. You'll have to excuse me, friends. I am visually impaired. There we go. Now that's big enough for us old guys with bad eyes. Well, I still got one good eye. Dear Dr. Greer, it has just come to the attention of the four of us that you have, without giving any of us the opportunity to comment, published a distorted account of a dinner party of some 6 years ago, in which the four of us, you and your wife, were seated together. In the introduction to your book, Extraterrestrial Contact, published earlier this year, you portray the dinner party conversation during which the four of us listened to your views and politely asked questions as a, quote, briefing, unquote, with a cover story. You further assert that Mr. and Mrs. Woolsey reported a UFO sighting to you, so he lied about that as well, and that they agreed with your views. You include specific alleged quotations from them. None of this is accurate. You have portrayed politeness as acquiescence and questions as affirmations. Your conduct in this matter contravenes both accuracy and simple manners. So there's four witnesses to what really happened, all refuting Dr. Steven Greer, all of his claims. All four of the people that were there said that was not a briefing. We were just being polite to this wackadoo, right? And Dr. Steven Greer, the wackadoo, turned that into he was asked to give Woolsey a briefing. He was asked to give the CIA director a briefing. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. He by chance met a CIA director at a dinner party, and he made this shit all up because he's a liar. And that's what liars do, right? And so we're going to get into some more evidence. And by the way, I put in the description of the video, just very timely, because Lions Ground, who, by the way, I think is a great investigator, great content creator, he just made a video about Dr. Steven Greer that I tweeted out. I'm very supportive of what he did in this video, because in this video, remember how we showed you that Dr. Steven Greer charged people $3,500 or $2,500 or even $500? Who cares? I think he charged $800 to see the moths, claiming that those were extraterrestrials. Well, apparently he charged people thousands of dollars to see flares being dropped by military aircraft in an exercise, and he claimed that those were aliens. Alien spaceships. They were flares. Verifiable 100%. He showed people flares while taking money from them and claiming that they were alien spacecraft. The second, so how many hoaxes are we up to here? The next bit of information that Lions Ground shared is that he also charged people money claiming that they were seeing an extraterrestrial. And in this case, it was a cactus in the middle of the desert off in the distance from them. That's what he was showing them, a cactus. And there's a point-by-point comparison. 100%, Dr. Steven Greer showed everybody a cactus off in the distance and claimed it was an alien, right? So we're going to cite fair use. I'll put my fair use banner up. And we're going to just share a few minutes of this because this video also involves a certain show host that I don't want to give any airtime to because he's a jerk-off loser. So we're only going to share the portion that talks about the flares and the cactus alien. It's a cactus. It's a cactus. It's not an alien, you dummy. It's a cactus. All right, let's share this. And I hope I have it. I do. 1 second. And by the way, I'm really big on supporting Lions Ground. For a time, Lions Ground had a huge channel, and then he took some other turns in life, but he's back to really hammering videos on YouTube. And for a time, he changed his sort of channel or name to Astral Citizens. He's back to being Lions Ground. And for those who don't know, Lions Ground is a monster at this stuff. Absolutely amazing at what he does. Good investigator, great content producer, and being somebody that wants to be a filmmaker, and I'm pretty good at video editing. Heathcliff is amazing. So please do support him. The video we're about to share is in the description of the video. Please go and watch it all. But after this show, it's called True Facts About Dr. Steven Greer. We're only going to be sharing a small portion of it tonight. Here we go. There we go. Ninja, I like it.
Let's sum it up. The alien photo is a hoax, aside from the proof from people on the internet and other debunkers pushing out hoaxes. 3 very interesting figures speak how Greer used their name, scamming people for $2,500 to make people believe that the elimination rounds are UFOs in Vero Beach. Steven Greer is in the UFO business for more than 21 years, and he has never shown in that 21 years any form of proof, but often shows deliberately misleading evidence, fake evidence, produced evidence, like the alien hoax. It's very safe to conclude that Mr. Greer is not acting really honestly. Did you know that Google?
Okay, that's enough of that. And by the way, there are certain people that are defending Steven Greer. And what I can tell you is that the people who are defending Steven Greer are the people who are making money with and from him. I'm going to say that one more time for the sake of clarity, because it's very important. The people who are defending Steven Greer from all of this fakery, fraudery, and bullshittery are the people who are making money with and from him. Those are the people defending this level of fakery. People like Third Phase of Moon and their so-called UFO expert panel members, right? Yeah. And of course, more fall to the dark side. It's great. Good luck. I think it's interesting, though, that Greer has hitched his shit wagon to the greatest garbage peddlers of UFO disinformation ever in the history of the world of UFOs, Third Phase of Fake. I think it's fitting, right? Nothing says credibility like getting the guys who have faked more UFO videos in history and made more money with fake nonsense UFO videos than anyone to make your films with or for you. Great, great. So there are people sucking at the teat of this Greer fakery. They see him making all this money, $500,000 a film, and they want in on it, right? Interesting. And we're going to go back to let me go back to one second. I had something else to share here. Okay. Okay, we already shared that. We're good. Okay. Boy, do I have a good clip of the video that we're going to share. And we're going to get into this interview. But before we do that, one second. Let me try to find it again. How did I lose it? I always love it when I have something on a tab and I lose it right at showtime somehow. Here we go. We got it. All right. This is another thing interesting. One of my favorite of Dr. Greer's fake stories is that the government offered him $2 billion if he would just stop talking about UFOs. That's billion with a B. He claims that the government offered him $2 billion to just stop talking about UFOs, right? And despite the ridiculousness of that, like, you would think that's an awfully bold claim. He's got to have some evidence of that. He's got to have some proof of that. But in fact, what we find out is that he's claiming a dead man said this to him. I find it a little more than convenient that one of his hugest lies cannot be fact-checked because the person he claims told him this is now deceased. And again, we're going to cite fair use. This is a transformative work. We are educating the public about Dr. Steven Greer's lies and false statements. How do I get to that? Yeah. Oh, let me do this one more time. Yeah, let's get to that. All right. And this is a short made from the interview. And by the way, this Sean Ryan has made a lot of money from this interview. So that may have something to do with the fact, with why there's no fact checking here. Because other content creators like Third Phase of Moon have commented that, well, Greer won't work with you if you fact check him. They actually said that. They made a documentary, Third Phase of Moon, full of lies. Lies like Dr. Steven Greer claims an entire company in the state of Michigan got murdered. He said that in their documentary. They didn't fact check that. It's false. It's completely, that never happened, right? But their defense was, well, Steven Greer wouldn't work with them if they fact checked everything he said. So they're just okay with him lying in a so-called documentary. It's garbage peddler paradise. So let's get into
General Albert Stubblebine III, Bert, who had been head of Special Forces and Army Intelligence. He intercepted me after we had this major contact event out in Florida and near Pensacola. And he subsequently, about a month later, personally offered me $2 billion to not pursue what I was doing and become part of his team.
A general offered
General Albert Stubblebine III, Bert, who had been head of Special Forces and Army Intelligence. He intercepted me after we had this major contact event out in Florida and near Pensacola. And he subsequently, about a month later, personally offered me $2 billion to not pursue what I was doing and become part of his team.
This is such garbage. So we're supposed to believe that the greediest man in the world of UFOs turned down $2 billion to just shut up, right? I'm sorry. This is absolutely ridiculous. And I'm going to show you the evidence that that person is indeed deceased. One second. Pardon me. So here we see the general, who was an Army Major General. He died in 2017. So, you know, I'm sorry, but if you've got a person who we can already demonstrate has been caught lying a lot, and he says something like, this general offered me $2 billion to stop talking about the aliens. And then we find out that that general died a few years ago. I call bullshit. Sorry, that story is fake. And until he can provide evidence, he should stop lying so boldly like that. Because Albert Stubber, this person, had a wife and children and a family. And by the way, I'm reaching out to them because I want them to know that this man is slandering the memory of their relative by lying about stupid alien stories. What kind of a slime ball lies about a dead man trying to bribe him to stop talking about aliens? And near as I can tell, this general had a long and commended and incredible and honorable history as one of our military leaders. And being from a family involved in the military myself, it is offensive to anybody with a family member in the military that this clown can be allowed to go on a monetized YouTube stream and do an interview and lie about a dead man telling fake alien stories. And by the way, we're going to get some comment from this man's family. They may or may not be able to verify or deny the story, but I think that they should know that an alien con man grifter who ran around selling a dead baby as an alien for a year or more, right, and it made millions off of that, is now making money claiming that this man tried to bribe him, this man who is deceased. I don't get it. Why do you have to dishonor the dead to tell your fake stories, right? It's very convenient that that man happens to be dead and cannot refute his claim, but I'm hopeful that his family will be able to refute his claim because he claims to have met with him. His family should know if their father, their grandfather, their brother, their husband, their relative met with an alien fake storytelling wackadoo like Dr. Steven Greer. And I promise you, I am going to full court press to get to that man's family. I'll bring you an update about what happens. Now, we're going to, I just want to show you this before we begin the interview portion of our coverage tonight, because, and I want to be fair to this Sean Ryan, because Sean Ryan is a decorated Navy man himself. And I wonder, how does he feel about letting somebody come on his show and lie about briefing CIA directors, lie about briefing presidents and world leaders, lie about somebody trying to bribe him for $2 billion? Especially, it's in his sort of mission statement here when he says, if there is one thing you can come to expect on this channel, it is pure honesty. And I just want to say, to be fair to Mr. Sean Ryan, he is a decorated former Navy SEAL. And my father was a Navy man. And I have tremendous respect for him and his Navy friends. They were all good, honorable men. And I have no reason to believe that Sean Ryan is not a good or honorable man. Perhaps he was misinformed. Perhaps he doesn't have a staff to research the claims of the guests. Perhaps he was not quite ready to deal with somebody that is this level of con artist that has been conning the public out of millions of dollars for years for completely and totally provably fake stories. So, in fairness, I'm going to give this Sean Ryan the benefit of the doubt. But I am going to take steps to inform him of, we may not get through it all tonight, but I'm going to get through this whole interview. And I'm going to forward to Sean Ryan evidence and proof of Steven Greer's garbage peddling on his show, where he claims, quote, "If there is one thing you can come to expect from this channel, it is pure honesty," unquote. I really hope the best for him. You know, I have watched several of his other shows and found them informative, interesting, and entertaining. And I, like many people, were shocked that he platformed Steven Greer, that he apparently, at least from watching this interview, Sean Ryan did absolutely no research. And he let this man sit on his show for more than 2 hours lying to his audience. Sean Ryan let this man come on his show and lie through his teeth to his audience for 2+ hours with no pushback, no fact checking, no research about this man's claims before platforming him, while having in his mission statement, quote, "If there is one thing you can come to expect on this channel, it is pure honesty." Well, we're going to give Mr. Sean Ryan the benefit of the doubt. And like I said, in fairness to him, my father was a Navy man. And by the way, my father loved Navy SEALs. My father was a Navy guy, and he wasn't the kind of guy that could or would try to be a Navy SEAL, but he looked up to them while he was in the military. He said they were the toughest MFers on planet Earth. And Sean Ryan has to be. Do you know anything about what it takes to pass SEAL training and become a Navy SEAL? They call it Hell Week for a reason. And I have tremendous respect for anybody that could go through that and accomplish that. So in fairness to him, we're going to try to be, you know, level-headed about what just happened and inform him. And perhaps through this broadcast or the other evidence that I can provide to the Sean Ryan show and Sean Ryan, he'll be a little more careful in the future when platforming UFO grifters. All right, I am going to 1 second now. I have to get. I finally remembered for once. I finally remembered for once to not play the video straight from YouTube because, you know, we get stuck with ads and you know, things like that. So we'll be able to do this uninterrupted. I have mirrored it on my channel here. And we're going to begin the video right at the beginning. And remember what I just said about the briefings. Let's touch on the briefings or reiterate. To reiterate, Dr. Steven Greer has claimed to brief sitting presidents, all of which are disputed. He has claimed to brief CIA directors. We saw what happened when he did that. The CIA director and 3 witnesses said he lied about that. He has claimed to brief Trump. Never happened. Pence, Vice President Pence, never happened. They dispute his claims. He has claimed to brief a sitting DIA director and many, many more. Generals, admirals, all kinds of world leaders, right? And has yet in over 20 years to provide a single solitary shred of actually briefing someone. And I recall a conversation that I think I had with Third Phase of Moon, Brent, before that big fallout, right? When I told him what I really thought of him and his shit show and channel. And his excuse was something ridiculous, right? And I have heard other people claim like, oh, no, he writes a briefing and he sends it to the president. So according to their logic, you can say that you briefed the president if you just write something about aliens and send it to the White House. So I did. And going forward, for the rest of my career in UFO land, I'm going to say that I briefed President Biden about the extraterrestrial presence on Earth. And I have a certified mail receipt proving that I sent my briefing to the White House. So, according to Steven Greer and his supporters, stupid logic, I have briefed President Biden on the extraterrestrial issue and the UFO threat. That should really increase my, bullshit capability, right? It's so stupid. So stupid. We'll check in with the live chat once again. 1 second. Let me check in here. Oh, I see. Yeah, I missed one. I apologize. I got to get better at this. 1 second. We have Asman. Asman with a kind and generous 99 cents. And let me go back and make sure we didn't miss any. 1 second, friends. So we'll be beginning this interview, and the interview starts with this Sean, this former Navy SEAL, who, by the way, is a CIA guy. I thought that was funny. He's a former CIA contractor. And why are we supposed to believe UFO truth from CIA spooks, right? Like TTSA and all that, John Ramirez. You know, the CIA's job is to lie to people, right? To manipulate people. At least part of their job. Okay, we're going to thank Asman for a kind and generous 99. Is that pence? I don't know what that is. It's like 99 euro cents. But thank you, Asman, for your kindness, generosity, and support. And we want to thank Donnie Darko for kind and generous $2. Says he's controlled opposition. Some people absolutely believe that, and I would perhaps say that I am one of them. And Asman with a kind and generous, is that €2? I think that's the euro symbol. You have to excuse me. It's been a long time since I worked in finance, and I used to do worldwide fund distribution and have to convert currencies, Asman, but I still don't remember if that's pounds or euro, lira. Somebody tell me what that is so I don't sound stupid going forward. That'd be great. Thank you, Asman, for your kindness, generosity, and support. And thank you all for helping us to praise the cash.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
Right. And we're going to get into this interview. And by the way, we're not going to go through the whole thing because I'm making a project separate from tonight's live broadcast. And it's going to be good. It's going to be sort of a response video to the Sean Ryan show. Yeah. 1 second. Yeah, some people hate that part. I agree. Pounds. It's pounds. That's what it is. It's English pounds. Thank you, Arden Paranormal, for helping me not look stupid. You can always count on my audience to help me look a little smarter. Thank you very much. And Simon Fly says pounds as well, right? And Simon Fly, do you have a music video with Steven Greer? Because I forgot to check. If you do, message it to me on Twitter. That would be great. CE5 session for $3,500. You too can summon aliens. Yeah. I mean, the fact that he's charging that much money and he's been caught showing people flares, or I'm sorry, military exercises, moths, and cactuses as his evidence or proof, I think it's absolutely criminal. But again, I'm not a law enforcement officer. I'm not a lawyer. So, we should get an expert to look at what he's doing and tell us if it's a crime or not. I mean, I think that would be an appropriate thing to do, right? Okay, so I'm going to put up my fair use banner once again and share my screen. So this is a transformative work. We're educating the public and we're critiquing the video that we are sharing. We will be commenting and critiquing as we are playing this. It's covered under fair use. The audience is also going to help me put any comments while we're listening to this that you want me to share on the screen in all capital letters, and I'll do that. And by doing so, you help me make this a transformative work. Thank you for your kind and generous assistance, live chat, and glad you are all here. Great attendance tonight. 1 second. I gotta shut. Oh, all right. Yeah, I have more to share, but we'll get to the video now, like I said, and we'll come back to the other bits that I have. Okay, here we go. Now remember, right in the beginning, just like Kurt the Mongol's show, but they took it down, is where Sean says that he has briefed world leaders from around the world.
Dr. Steven Greer is one of the world's foremost authorities on the subject of UFOs, extraterrestrial intelligence, and exotic technologies. For more than 30 years, Dr. Greer has provided briefings for senior government officials across the globe, conducted numerous media interviews, and delivered hundreds of lectures.
So he's conducted briefings from world leaders, government leaders from around the world, except for that time. Oh, another exception is that time that he paid a bunch of former congressmen or senators to sit at the National Press Club and listen to his wackadoo stories. Does he call that briefing then? That was a public event. That wasn't a briefing, but you know, it is what it is.
He's written 5 books and produced 4 feature film documentaries that have been seen by hundreds of millions of people.
Yeah, I'll give him that. He's produced 4 feature-length documentaries, and each one of them, let's see, one of them he raised $1 million just to make it. That's not counting how much he made when it was from the streaming services. Another one, almost $1 million, one $400,000, one over $500,000, I think. And this latest one that he's begging for money, over $600,000. This man has made millions of dollars and has not provided a single shred of proof of any of his claims. But he has provided evidence of fakery, fraudery, and bullshittery, though. He has provided fake evidence that we can demonstrate is fake evidence, but he hasn't provided any real evidence. And this is why I get frustrated, because this man has not provided any real evidence, and he's collected millions of dollars. Like, how many millions of dollars does Dr. Greer need to get paid before we get some actual, real, verifiable evidence of his many ridiculous stories? Also, worthy of note that one of my other favorite stories of his is that he went on a secret mission with Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top. That was put out by the Third Phase clowns. They didn't check him, right? And by the way, I did try to get to Billy Gibbons. I got to his publicist and somebody else. I was supposed to get an on-the-record statement, whether that was true or not. They never got back to me. But it is what it is. Yeah.
He's currently working on a documentary scheduled for release in late 2023 called The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. The documentary addresses how energy solutions have been suppressed in the past and how they could now come out for the benefit of all mankind using an open source strategy.
Yeah. And by the way, we are gonna have to jump around a little bit. In 2008, Dr. Greer was collecting donations for a nonprofit organization, something called the Orion Project, where he collected, to the best of my knowledge, over $500,000. And he said at that time, back in the early 2000s, that he and his organization were going to create a free energy device that would essentially save the world. It would be free energy. After collecting to the best of my knowledge, $500,000 with that effort, he produced nothing. After that, several years later, he did a for-profit company called, interestingly enough, Arrow. That's right, Advanced Energy Research Organization. Advanced Energy Research Organization was founded by Dr. Steven Greer in July 2007. And I'm a little confused because he had something called the Orion Project, I believe, to the best of my recollection here. You know, this is more than a decade ago. That was a nonprofit organization. This one is a for-profit company that he says is claimed in July 2007. Arrow is a new research and development group which will develop and strategically protect new energy and propulsion technologies that will completely replace, boy, look, big claims, completely replace oil, gas, coal, and nuclear power. And here again, founder of Arrow. He has worked for 17 years to bring together scientists, leaders, and society to advance new, clean technology energy systems. And here we go. He is considered one of the world's authorities on the strategic process of transforming our carbon-based civilization to long-term sustainable civilization using innovative sciences and technology. He's written several books, right? And here we go again, over the years, he has briefed top-level CIA, Pentagon, government, and corporate leaders in the U.S. and around the world. Remember, I said, I apologize. I didn't know that was small. 1 second. There we go. Remember, I said that tonight I'm calling his bluff. Great. You said this stuff ages ago, right? More than a decade ago, you said that you were briefing CIA people. Well, we saw that one letter from a CIA guy who said you lied about it all. Where is the proof that you briefed anybody? Show me. Let me interview somebody that you gave, somebody that's a top level CIA, Pentagon, government, or corporate leader in the U.S. or around the world that you gave a briefing about aliens to, Dr. Steven Greer. And by the way, well, I don't even want to get into these two. His business business partners. And here, investment. He solicited public investment for this. He solicited public investment to create a free energy device. So again, I'm calling his bluff. Hey, Dr. Greer, how much money did you collect for Arrow, the free energy organization? And can we interview investors that gave you money and find out how happy they are with their investment into your free energy company back then? And by the way, he scrubbed the internet of all of this. All of this stuff about the free energy, I'm calling it free energy scams. Everything about his free energy scams, most of it has been scrubbed from the internet. No longer available. The websites are gone. But thanks to the lovely Wayback Machine, we can still see some of this information out there. And just so everybody is clear, in the history of everybody who has started an investment scam to create a free energy device, do you know how many have actually created a free energy device? None. Zero people who have come forward and promised free energy devices have and taken lots of money off of gullible, stupid people have ever actually followed through and created the energy device they promised investors. Never once in the history of humanity. Do you know why? Because free energy, to the best of my research, and let me be clear, I have researched free energy for a long, long time. Remember, I'm a computer science guy, electronics guy. Love the idea. The closest thing I've ever found is John Hutchinson's crystal batteries, but that may be a red herring. But anyway, free energy is a scam. And by the way, lots of UFO grifters try to scam people with free energy. We've got Billy Carson, First Class Space Agency. He did. Dr. Steven Greer, he did. We got David Wilcock, he did. Remember, David Wilcock said that his hover cars would use a free energy device, so you wouldn't even have to put fuel in it. Where's the hover car with the free energy device? Where's Billy Carson's free energy device? How much money has these three clowns alone, Billy Carson, David Wilcock, and Steven Greer, collected from investors or people while they were running charities or whatever the financial arrangement was? How much money have they generated for their free energy promises? And what have they delivered? Nothing. Zero. Whole lot of nothing. It's against the laws of thermodynamics. I've tried. It's very tantalizing. You know, if you really want to think free energy just might be possible, here's what you do. Go buy yourself about $500 worth of magnets and try to figure it out. Because I did. I have. I know that's crazy, but I'm being honest about my own interest, my own, trip down the rabbit hole of free energy. And by the way, I am a victim of free energy scams myself because in my younger, way younger years before I knew better, I bought a whole lot of how to build free energy device plans on eBay. And imagine this, no matter how exacting you try to build them according to the plans that you purchased, none of them work. There's a reason for that, right? And there's so many free energy scammers out there. John Searle, look it up. Just Google free energy scams and you'll see what I mean. And thank you, Dr. T, for your kindness, generosity, and support. Disclosure is going to happen any day now. Yeah, it's going to happen tomorrow, Dr. T. I'm going to bring you disclosure, but I need to start making Dr. Greer level money before I can bring you disclosure. And then I'll be praising the cash too, Dr. T. Praise the cash.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
All right. So, all right. Now, on to what I wanted to tell you is that after running that investment thing ages ago and possibly a free energy charity, I believe the Orion Project is what it was called. That was supposed to be a charity. And I'm a little unclear on the timeline. Maybe he started the for-profit company and that didn't work out. So then he turned it into a charity and collected donations, or the other way around. So please don't quote me. I can post a retraction on Twitter, or not a retraction. I can look into that after tonight's broadcast and get you that information as accurately as possible. So, but we've got, I believe, 2 free energy organizations previously run by Dr. Steven Greer that were begging the public for money or investment. Now, his latest film is about free energy, and he's collected $600,000. $600,000 just to make a film about free energy, where previously he collected $500,000, I'm told, sources say, to create a free energy device, and he delivered nothing. Now he's collected $600,000 just to make a film about free energy. Shouldn't he have made the film with the last $500,000 that he collected for the free energy device that he never delivered to investors and supporters and donators? I think so. And so should you. Why is he allowed to collect another $600,000? What did he do with the first $500,000 of free energy cash? It's very problematic. All right. And we're going to get back to the interview. Geez, I can't believe it, but we're an hour and 15 minutes in. We didn't even start the interview yet. All right, here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been telling you that I was going to dive into this subject for a long time, and now we have one of the leading experts on extraterrestrial.
I just want to say, how do you become an expert in extraterrestrials if there is no scientific evidence that they actually exist? That's like, look, I'm going to become an expert in unicorns, right? I'm an expert in unicorns. I'm a unicorn expert, right? Or I'm a minotaur expert. I'm a pixie expert. I'm a fairy expert. Yeah, I'm an expert. There's no proof that those things exist, but somehow I'm going to declare myself an expert at it. Anytime someone labels themselves an expert at something that cannot be proven to exist, they're a wackadoo. That is the sign of a wackadoo. I'm an expert. Great. You're an expert wackadoo.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Steven Greer to the Sean Ryan Show. If you haven't, please go down, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave us a comment, and share this information with everybody you know.
Yeah, share out this guy lying for 2 hours and 21 minutes with zero fact-checking, zero actual research into his past scams, his current scams, right? Amazing. I expect better from a decorated Navy man, especially somebody that is tenacious and powerful enough as a man to become a Navy SEAL.
I want to give a special thanks to all of our patrons for supporting the show. It's because of you guys that this happens. I also want to thank everybody who's...
We're sorry, we're going to fast forward. I think he does a Patreon.
Dr. Greer, welcome to the Sean Ryan Show.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
It is an honor to have you sitting across there. I've been following your work for a while now. I've watched all the documentaries. It's fascinating information that you're putting out.
We've found part of the problem. Part of the problem is that apparently Sean Ryan has been watching his documentaries, which are filled with unfact-checked lies, fabrications, half-truths, and fake evidence. So, I guess we might have to forgive Mr. Ryan for just believing because I once did too. Do you know? I once used to believe if it's in a documentary, it's got to be true. Documentaries are true stories. Not so. Not when you're talking about UFO grifters.
I can't believe you're even sitting here. It's a real honor.
It's an honor to be with you, and thank you for your service and everyone listening who served our country.
I appreciate that. Thank you for saying that.
Stuck up to his
So just a little bit about you. I gave you an introduction just a few seconds ago, but you've briefed every president since Bill Clinton on the subject of UFOs.
Do you see what I mean here? Listen, Sean, did you fact check? We've already proven that he never briefed President Clinton. And you just said that he's briefed every sitting president since Bill Clinton. We proved here that he didn't brief Trump or Pence. So who does that leave? Barack Obama, right? And George Bush. And by the way, we, Sean, checked with the presidential libraries of Bill Clinton, George Bush Jr., or H.W. Bush, whatever you want to call him, and Barack Obama. Guess what? There's no mention of Dr. Steven Greer in any of the presidential libraries. And I know, being a military man, Sean Ryan, you may be aware of this, but the commander-in-chief is a very important man. And every meeting that they have, every minute of a president's day is logged, right? And every meeting that they have ends up in their presidential library. Would you be surprised to know, Mr. Ryan, that not a single presidential library has any mention of Dr. Steven Greer ever having a meeting with either Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, George H.W. Bush, right? There's no mention of him in the presidential libraries. So already, remember your statement, Mr. Ryan, to your audience. Quote, "If there is one thing you can come to expect from this channel, it is pure honesty," unquote. Did you check with the presidential libraries? Did you reach out to their their media representatives? Well, that's interesting. I blinked out for a minute. So pardon me. I would like to know if Mr. Sean Ryan or any of his staff members actually checked with the presidential libraries to verify Mr. Greer's claims, because we have. And what I can tell you is that there is no mention in any of the presidential libraries. And by the way, Trump doesn't have his yet, so we can only go up to Barack Obama. But that would be Bill Clinton, George H.W. Bush, and Barack Obama. Those presidential libraries have zero mention. I've checked with the archivist. I can give you their names and their phone numbers. All three of the archivists from those three presidential libraries verify that Dr. Steven Greer never had a meeting with those three presidents. Now, in come the excuses from the disclosure dorks. I get it, but I deal in reality and facts and verifiable evidence. And if we go the route of reality, facts, and verifiable evidence, Dr. Steven Greer never briefed Bill Clinton. It's not, oh, by the way, I'm sorry, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, George H.W. Bush, there's no mention of him in any of the presidential libraries, Mr. Ryan. You're free to check. And let me just make a mention of this. The hallmark of a good researcher is that other researchers can go after him and find the same result. So any researcher can go to the presidential libraries from Bill Clinton through Barack Obama and verify that there is no mention of Dr. Steven Greer ever meeting with those presidents. And it gets worse because in a separate incident, he claimed that in one documentary, he claimed that he briefed Trump and Pence. No evidence of that. So, look, we're 3 minutes and 30 seconds into this, and there's already multiple lies from a show host who claims, quote, "If there is one thing you can come to expect from this channel, it is pure honesty." But I want to be fair to him. I think that he just believed him. He had no idea that a guest would lie that incredibly. And so I have empathy for Mr. Ryan. I'm not blaming him for allowing this man to lie, but I'm trying to show him that going forward, if he wants to cover the UFO topic, he needs to fact check. He needs to research guests' claims before he just puts them on his show as true and accurate information. And as you can see here, Mr. Ryan is just reading this stuff as if it's 100% true and accurate information. I beg to differ.
Of 3 personal friends that have been assassinated since, I believe, May 9th of 2001.
Oh, here we go again. Dr. Steven Greer claims that 3 people that worked for him or were friends with him were assassinated because of the UFO stuff that they were doing. Show me police reports. Show me a detective that investigated those assassinations that I can interview and verify those claims with. I'm sorry, but once again, Mr. Sean Ryan, you fell for a guy who is verifiably lying through his teeth. I'm sure you know, being a military man, Mr. Sean Ryan, that if somebody's assassinated or murdered, there's an investigation. There's a mountain of paperwork. There's detectives you could talk to. There's investigating officers in the jurisdictions in which those so-called murders took place. These events that he describes cannot be verified as factual, Mr. Ryan. And I have done my due diligence looking into those claims. And unfortunately, you or your staff have done zero fact-checking of that claim. Again, we're only 3 minutes and 34 seconds into this interview. 2 huge whoppers, which we can prove are 100% lies.
And those were before.
Those were before.
Yeah.
May 9th, the reason I bring up May 9th, 2001 is that's when you first hosted the National Press Club for the U.S. UFO Disclosure Project, which ironically was just 4 months before September 11th, 2001.
Yes, and by the way, Dr. Steven Greer, on the record statements, has claimed that disclosure didn't come after his disclosure project event because of 9/11, and that 9/11 may have been a distraction because he was telling us the truth about aliens. Again, how dare he use that tragedy to cover his lack of bringing us disclosure?
Where over 20 intelligence officers came forward with information about UFOs.
Right.
Whistleblowers. The main reason you're here is whistleblowers.
Yeah, fake whistleblowers. I'd like a list of those 20 intelligence officers that he claims came forward. I'd like to interview them. Again, we're calling his bluffs tonight. This is the boldest bluff of fake information that I have seen Greer do. Right out of the gate, huge fake story, huge factually inaccurate statements, huge verifiably false, fake disinformation that he is spreading.
Would you like to go in there?
Yeah, I do. And I want to start early on. So the way this evolved in the early 90s, I'd started a project dealing with this. And we had set up a protocol where we had made contact with these objects.
His greatest hits now.
That ended up being on the front page of the Pensacola, Florida paper. Army intelligence.
Yeah, and by the way, we started our broadcast. Dr. Steven Greer claims that he got those CE5 protocols from aliens. Aliens taught him how to contact aliens. He has no evidence and no proof of it, but it is what it is, right?
And CIA found out about it, and then they came in and started asking me, "What are you doing? How are you doing this?" And
again, calling his bluff, he claims that the CIA came to him after an article was published in a newspaper. Can we have the names of those CIA people so we can verify they actually came to you? Or is this more fabrications and false fairy tales from a fairy tale huckster? And by the way, Sean Ryan, you were a CIA contractor. You mean to tell me that there's no paperwork? There's no records, right? I call this one as fake as well. Nobody from the CIA contacted him.
That started a whole process where people there were friendlies and unfriendlies in the U.S. government and other governments who reached out.
Oh, black hats and white hats. Where have we heard that before?
And the friendlies were people who were very much read into some of these projects, who knew that they had been managed illegally. And they began to advise me. Now, never been in the U.S. government, never been in the military, never been in the intelligence community. So I started out pretty cold and pretty green. I'm an emergency doctor, trauma, big ER. Each of us saw 6,000 people a year. The gun and knife club, we called it. And by 93, I was being asked to go up and brief the director of the CIA for Bill Clinton, R. James Woolsey. Now, I'm a third.
Again, do you hear? He just said that he was asked to brief the sitting director of the CIA under Bill Clinton, James Woolsey. We showed you the letter. James Woolsey disputes this. He met him at a dinner party. He sat at a table with him and his wife. And him, James Woolsey, and 3 witnesses refute that was a briefing. James Woolsey said that he never briefed Bill Clinton on this subject. James Woolsey said he never briefed him on this subject. Again, Sean Ryan, you did not research this guest and his fabricated fairy tales. And unfortunately, you are now spreading 100% false information to over 1 million of your followers. And I'm sorry for that. And I just hope that you do better going forward, because I believe that you had good intentions here. And this is a terrible thing to have happened, that this man is spreading 100% verifiably proven fake information to your 1 million followers. When you say on your show, quote, if there is one thing you can come to expect from this channel, it is pure honesty. This is not honesty. This is not honesty, Mr. Ryan. This is lies and fabrications, sensationalized fake stories in order to get clicks and views. And I think that you, as a former Navy SEAL, are better than this.
30-some-year-old medical doctor going up, and the letter that came to me, and this is the key point I want to make, stated, and I have it, it's in my archive, it's going to come out pretty soon publicly.
Great. James Woolsey said that never happened. Now, Greer, knowing that there's a lot of heat from that letter that I and other people calling him on his fake stories keep showing people, now he's saying that he's got a letter from James Woolsey. And he's going to release it soon. Why didn't you release it back when James Woolsey said that this never happened? Again, I'm calling your bluff, Dr. Steven Greer. This is a fake story. There's no letter from Woolsey asking you for a briefing about aliens. And if there is one, it is a falsified letter. And we will verify that with Woolsey.
And it says you're going to be the first person to brief the Clinton administration and the director of the CIA on this issue, because they made inquiries and have been denied access.
Remember, James Woolsey said Dr. Steven Greer never briefed him or Bill Clinton. So again, Sean Ryan, this is 100% false information.
Now, huge red flag should go over everyone's head right now. You're talking about the President of the United States, the director of the CIA, making through channels an inquiry on something that they know is happening, and they're being denied access. So immediately I knew either that was a lie or the whole enterprise has gone off the rails in terms of being managed illegally and improperly.
I think it was the Sean Ryan show.
At that point, I went up, took the meeting. The cover story was a dinner party for me and my wife and the CIA director and his wife.
That was a cover story.
Who was the
he said
Chief
no, it
Operating
wasn't a
Officer
cover
of the National
story.
Academy of Sciences.
It was a social event.
And our host, who was a think tank director for the Pentagon, and his wife. So there's 6 of us. And sure enough, he was very shaken. He absolutely had not been read in. And so I provided him a lot of information. And I brought a whole briefcase full of evidence. I mean, just positive evidence, documents, photographs.
Yeah, like his fake NRO
this is
document?
30 years ago this year, December 13th, 1993. So at that point, my whole paradigm tilted. where I realized there's something very wrong with this. I didn't know anything about, the
there is
popular
something
terms
wrong with
now with
this.
the counter
It's a
state or the
lie.
deep.
It's fake. Welcome, Stacy Wright, new member. Stacy Wright just became a YouTube member. Welcome, Stacy Wright. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support of the show. You can go to the members tab now, and there's a whole bunch of extra goodies for you to enjoy. Thank you very much for becoming a member, Stacy Wright. And we want to thank WL for a kind and generous $5. Says Greer, in my opinion, is probably the man who has made the most from the UFO grift. Wendell Lambo. Yeah, thank you, Wendell. I absolutely agree with you. I think that is absolutely correct. I think that Greer has made more money grifting off the UFO community than anyone else in history.
Deep state or secret government illegal
And
projects.
I forgot, praise the cash.
It was off my radar, totally.
You had no idea at the time
No,
that any of that was happening.
This was, I had actually sort of a serious PTSD over this because it was like completely upended, my world. And my thinking about our country and what had happened. So I started digging into this, and I'm a full-time emergency doctor. I was chairman of the department, and I got more and more involved. And I made a call, an early call, for people to come forward who did know about this. And at that time, the Disclosure Project, in that incarnation, let's call it, was called Project Starlight. And Project Starlight was a briefing process for the executive branch and then eventually members of Congress. So I ended up putting together all this information.
This is comical.
And whistleblower testimony documents. I ended up receiving some top secret documents that were not declassified that I have and have published because we came to the conclusion
fake documents
that these projects are being
fake
run
documents.
unconstitutionally. And
he posted fake documents. The NRO document that he's talking about that's supposed to be top secret has been proven by John from the Black Vault to be 100% a fake document. It's fake. So here again, Mr. Sean Ryan, this man is claiming that he was in possession of top secret documents that a government document expert, and I believe that John Greenwald is a government document expert. He would be allowed to be an expert in a court of law on government documents, formatting, all of those things. He declared that document, the NRO document, which I believe he's referencing here, as 100% fake, Mr. Ryan. So again, you're letting him lie to your 1 million+ followers about being in possession of or releasing top secret documents. The top secret fake documents, sure, but they're fake. They're not real documents. So isn't that a problem? And is that really what you want to do on your show when we're supposed to come to expect on your channel pure honesty? Shouldn't you have had somebody like John from the Black Vault look at the documents he's referencing and tell your audience the truth about them? They were fake documents. Just shake my head.
therefore, all personnel, all evidence, and all documents pertaining to them have no protection over from the National Security Act. They cannot be kept secret if they're going to operate outside the oversight of the constitutional oversight requirements of the president and the Congress.
What were some of the things that were in the top secret documents?
Fake information.
Well, I have one that's from Nellis, so-called Area 51 area, where there was a security
That's the NRO document he's referencing.
Civilian groups trying to see what was going on there. And it has the distribution list. The document isn't that important except for, because it was a security
important because it's fake
alert, but the distribution list is important because it has the code names and code numbers. That document, which was dated
now he's going to mention Admiral Wilson. So this is Mr. Ryan. He's going to mention that he gave this document to Admiral Tom Wilson. And the document that he gave to Admiral Tom Wilson is known as the NRO document, I believe. And that is the document that has been proven 100% to be a fake document. So he gave a fake top secret document to a decorated Navy admiral. This is information, which I'm saying now is 100% the truth and verifiable. He gave a fake top secret document to a decorated Navy admiral. Do you think that that is being entirely honest on your channel? Is that pure honesty? Letting him talk about giving top secret documents to an admiral when the top secret documents he gave to that admiral have been proven to be fake?
In the 90s. It was one of the documents I gave, for example, to the president's people, and also eventually when I briefed the J2, the head of intelligence, Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Wilson. And that was,
again, that was not a briefing. That was a meeting
the top of the pile.
Tom Wilson took because Edgar Mitchell asked him to meet. And he gave that fake document to Admiral Tom Wilson.
Oh, because I said, look at the distribution list here. Follow that thread. And
so follow the distribution list from a totally fake, 100% fake top secret document. That's what started the supposed Wilson documents. A top secret fake document that Greer gave to Tom Wilson, where he said, oh yeah, I'm going to go look for those alien back engineering projects from this distribution list that just so happens to be included on a 100% proven fake top secret document. Great.
For example, in the case of Admiral Wilson, now, you know, he's head of intelligence joint staff, Admiral. He made an inquiry into this based on a portfolio I had couriered to him. But he was denied access.
And again, Mr. Sean Ryan, are you aware that Admiral Tom Wilson, though he admits met with this man, Greer, he said he only took the meeting because Edgar Mitchell asked him to, and Edgar Mitchell brought Steven Greer with him. In that meeting, Steven Greer gave Admiral Tom Wilson a 100% fake document. And then there's a whole story after that Admiral Wilson went and looked for those top secret projects and was denied access. Admiral Tom Wilson, in an on-the-record statement, denies that happened. He says that those notes about all of this that Mr. Greer is referencing here are a, quote, work of fiction, unquote. He claimed it never happened, and you're letting this man tell complete falsehoods on your show where you're supposed to expect total honesty on your channel. Mr. Fish with a kind and generous $5 super chat, and thank you for being a channel member. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and your support of the show. We thank you for being a member. Thanks to all of our members, and thank you for your continued support of the show. Longtime show supporter. Thank you for helping us to praise the cash. You guys are making it rain up in here tonight. All right. So, listen, we are so short into this that this is, I honestly feel bad for Sean Ryan. I feel sorry for him.
And there's public documents now about this that leaked out.
Yeah, and from Eric Davis, the wackadoo.
Look it up. And what happened is that he was also threatened personally and with demotion.
Again, he says this is all a work of fiction.
Was all
Sean Ryan. He says this whole story that Steven Greer, the admiral he's referencing, says that this whole story that he's telling you right here is a work of fiction, Mr. Ryan.
Happened kind of prior to my stand-up briefing at the Pentagon for him, which happened in 1997, over 25 years ago, 26. And it was a very disturbing event for him. For me, by then, I was battle-hardened. I realized what was going on. He was shocked that he had been threatened and denied access to these projects. I wasn't, because I said, well, you're in good company. The SecDef, Secretary of Defense has, the president,
make it rain
director
like Greer.
of the CIA. And by then, I had met with key members in the Congress and Senate Intelligence Committee. They had all been pushed
I agree with you 100%.
and denied access. So by then, I had already accepted this new paradigm of there being, as Senator Inouye said, and I'm quoting, there's a secret government with its own Air Force, its own Navy, its own funding mechanism that's above the law and free from the law itself. I'm almost giving an exact quote here. And, that's something that most people have to understand first off here, is that what we're dealing with is not a sanctioned or even a normal black project. And I can say this with authority because
Greer
I
was
am
battle
working
hardened,
now with people
yes.
who literally manage the black budget of the United States.
Again, we're going to
Currently.
call bullshit.
And they,
He is saying he is currently working with people currently who manage the black budget of the United States. Great. Can we have their names? Again, I'm calling Steven Greer's bluff tonight. Can we have their names so we can verify you're not making this up? Because so far we're 10 minutes in and we can prove that you've made up half of what you said, more than half of what you said. Most of what you said is made up nonsense, provably fake. Now he's saying that he's working with people that are managing the black budget of the United States. Sure he is. Just like he's going on secret missions with Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top to underground bases.
they were denied access to all these projects. They had no idea that there were deep black pass-through projects. We'll get into this. How is this done? Structurally, organizationally. What's the architecture? So it took me a long time to unravel this. And I had to do it through multiple documents, corroborating witnesses, people on the inside who came forward. So in 2001, by then, I had concluded neither the White House nor the Congress was going to touch this. So we launched the Global Disclosure Project.
You know, I'm just telling the truth.
I gathered together
Sandy
the first
Smith.
20-some of these military
I don't know
and
what he's on
some
about.
corporate
I don't even
people,
know what that means, what he said.
and had a press club event. It ended up being seen by about 800 million people. Interestingly, the first hour of it was jammed. There had been jamming devices put on the structure of the National Press Club.
This is such garbage. 800 million people saw it. The Disclosure Project. It was filmed on like VHS camcorders. Really? There's jamming devices? Then why can you still, there's recordings of this. This is so stupid. There's jamming devices to try to stop them from broadcast. Come on.
But it eventually got up, and it used up every T1 line in the city available back then in 01. And, what happened from that was that then there was a whole movement launch that is going to this day. It's a very slow process. You're dealing.
Yeah, a whole movement to make millions and millions of dollars and never bring the disclosure that you promised us was just around the corner in, what was that? 2001, right? It was 2001 where he essentially said that disclosure's coming any minute now. Where is the disclosure that you promised? Where is the disclosure? He's gotten millions of dollars. And isn't it interesting? We still don't have any disclosure, no proof, no evidence, but he's made millions of dollars from this. It's extremely problematic, right?
Dealing with U.S. government moves like a glacier. And that's complimentary. But I think that the reality is you can't blame people. There are these sweeping conspiracy theories that are all wrong.
I agree with you, Mike.
That,
Absolutely
somehow,
correct.
I was just talking to a congressman yesterday who had this idea that there were people in his party who were hiding things from him because they knew things. Because the process going on now in the Congress, much of it is in classified skiffs. And
Sopranos fan. I know who that is.
But in reality, those people who are trying to get to the bottom of this,
why don't you be a man, Weasel?
I mean, they're still asking, is that Tic Tac, as they call it, this UFO footage, you can drop it in that are Hornets, F-18s for chasing off of San Diego. Is that, from China? And of course, as soon as I saw it, I matched it to a 1967 image we have of a Lockheed Skunk Works so-called anti-gravity device.
Oh, yeah.
So that would be us.
It's us. It's U.S. Well, let's call it global. It's part of this secret government asset.
He has said the Tic Tac and other famous UFO events are our technology from black budget projects. And while I don't dispute that, he has offered no evidence of his claims ever.
So to give people a little deeper unpacking of this is like at the end of the
Steven
meeting
Greer,
with that.
You can guess who that was. Somebody who's sucking at the teat of Steven Greer wants to come here and cry. So bye-bye.
Wilson. So I'm doing the stand-up briefing. It's supposed to be 45 minutes in his conference room at the Pentagon. And I have astronaut Edgar Mitchell is there, who was the sixth man to walk on the moon. my military advisor, and a couple witnesses, whistleblowers. And this goes on for almost 2 or 3 hours, much longer. He kept canceling appointments.
He disputes this as well.
Because he was so, concerned. And at the end of it, I said, look, we really need your help getting to the bottom of this.
Oh, yes, the Admiral Wilson story. He loves this story. You know why? Because he knows that the disclosure dorks believe it's 100% true, even though Tom Wilson said that none of this story happened, except for the meeting.
And getting these rogue, illegal projects under control. He says, well, what am I going to do? He says, I can't act. I'll be rogue unless the Secretary of Defense and the President authorize me to do something like this. And I said, well, that's not going to be forthcoming. We've already attempted that. And he also said something that was very spooky. He said, how do I take on a group that have technologies that can do circles around the best thing I know we have, a B-2 stealth?
Yeah, and here we go with the stories. Unverifiable anecdotes that Tom Wilson disputes all or most of this.
He says, that's the best thing I know.
It's a secondhand hearsay from a proven liar that has been disputed by a decorated Navy admiral, Sean Ryan. Everything he's saying here has been disputed by a decorated Navy admiral. You were a Navy SEAL. Do you believe that a Navy admiral would just lie about these issues? I don't.
To deploy. And I have found out, and I have now convinced there is a secret organization that have technologies that can literally do circles around my B-2. And I said, yes. And he just said, it's point set match. He says, I don't even know how to take that on. And that is how that meeting ended. It was very grave. And I went, well, there's a difference. Those projects are being run outside the law.
Yeah.
And I said,
another one of his
the law is only what you empower.
Oh, these people, they're illegally hiding alien technology. He's never proven any of this.
Is only what you use. If you don't use the law and if you don't use power, then you let sociopaths and criminals run amok.
Well, that's government.
And unfortunately, that's what's happened since the late 1950s. I later found it was on Eisenhower's watch, unfortunately. He was old, he was tired, he was a 4-star general, World War II, that this group of, the secret government group sort of seized control over these operations. So in reality, the constitutional government of the United States has not been in a 100%. Proper oversight and control of these operations since the late 1950s.
And he has no proof of that either.
Since 70 years.
Yep, almost 60. Yeah, 2/3 of a century.
Wow.
So that's sort of just to give an overview of how this evolved. And now it's evolved to a very big event that's happened about a month and a half ago. Congress passed and the president signed a law that has for the defense funding, National Defense Authorization Act. And it explicitly allows people to come out as witnesses, whistleblowers on the UAP, UFO issue.
Yes, but only to classified briefings of Congress. They can't come out publicly, apparently.
Including
real transparent
contractors, not just government employees.
Very transparent.
But contractors like Lockheed Skunk Works, Northrop, Raytheon, Booz Allen Hamilton, MITRE Corporation, SAIC. These are all big chief primary contractors working on the reverse engineering of extraterrestrial material and also the building up of systems based on that.
Again, stories, anecdotes, no evidence, no proof offered. Just trust me, dude.
And other technologies. So
why do you think it took so long for this bill to come about?
It just has that, when we released about 5 years ago, 5.5 years ago, Unacknowledged. So people, if you have Amazon Prime or Tubi or Hulu or whatever, that documentary got about, in the first 6 months, 760 million people see it.
I would.
None of that was pirated, dark web, Pirate Bay, whatever. It's fine. What I'm doing is.
Yeah, I would dispute his numbers. 760 million people saw his film. And by the way, if they did, imagine how much money he made from the streaming services, because you get paid by the play, I believe, right? well, it depends on the contract, certainly, and he got $500,000 or $1 million to make the film to begin with. So this guy is rolling in UFO dollars.
A not-for-profit purpose of educating the public on this. I left my medical career to fix this massive problem for not only.
He just said this is not for profit. His mission is not for profit. Then why are you constantly collecting money? Why are you constantly begging for money? Why is the CE5 app $10? Why don't you give it away for free? Why are you asking for $500,000 to create films if it's not for profit? Why are you accepting contracts from streaming services to make money after you've already collected $500,000 to make a documentary? Why are you accepting contracts for money from streaming services? This is a for-profit business. He's not running a charity here. He does not have a 501c3, Sean Ryan. And one thing you should do, if you really want to look into this guy, Mr. Ryan, is follow the money we have here. And we can show you that he's made millions and millions and millions of dollars while claiming that he just said that this is not for profit.
Our country, but for the world and the future of humanity.
That's not being honest with your audience, Mr. Ryan.
But that, caused a lot of stir, and it triggered a series of events that has now led a few years ago to the law being passed that the Director of National Intelligence must report on this issue to the Congress. But now, I told folks that I'm working with.
Yes, the CIA threat narrative that was put out by, Leslie Kean, Lou Elizondo, TTSA, Christopher Mellon, Steve Justice was very effective at getting legislation passed. I'll give them that. But these disclosure dorks love to claim this as huge victories. Read into it. What are the American people going to get as far as transparency and as far as freedom of information? Nothing.
I can't disclose exactly who they are, but they're the most senior people.
Yeah, he's got senior people, but he can't tell you their names because then he can fact check them.
Because the only way you're going to get this, you're not going to get this through the chain of command. You're going to have to get people who come in as whistleblowers and witnesses, who are direct witnesses to this, even if it's a small part of what they saw. Maybe they were only guarding a hangar where there was one of these triangular objects at my uncle's old company. My uncle worked on the lunar module, put the first man on it north of Grumman. But which is part of how I had an interest in this. If your uncle kind of put the first man on the moon or was part of that, is sort of a fun thing for a little boy.
He thinks he lies so much that he believes in himself, maybe.
So. But which was a great thing to had a family member involved with that. But I think that, most people underestimate how important every little detail is. So what I did in the 90s up to the 2001 event, and what I've done since, is put together sort of a whole puzzle, a mosaic.
Yeah,
based on
got the big picture. He
thousands of little
of
pieces
really
of data.
Going on.
Mm-hmm. So, the evidence is easy to get your mind around one at a time. What's hard to get your mind around is the entire intelligence analysis that has to go with it. So that's what I've specialized in, is gathering that data and then connecting all the dots.
Great, then you can give us
how does this corporate
truth, right?
operation interface with this base and this skiff?
He's got nothing but stories.
For people who don't know, the secure compartment
and fake documents,
information facility,
and fake aliens,
a skiff
fake
is
UFOs,
where highly classified documents.
Yes, grifting off of dead relatives. Yes,
mission planning.
Right.
The that's where it all happens.
Right.
Is in a skiff.
Right. Yep. And I've been involved with that, although I wasn't supposed to be, but I get ushered into places.
He's got man boobs.
Even though I've never been in the government. I will not accept a clearance.
I don't know.
For,
I haven't been able to verify
or non-disclosure. Right?
Verify that's bull.
So all this I'm telling you, I can tell you because I hold, people who know the system will know I hold my own clearances in that sense. I can say what I want to whomever. What my rule is that if, let's say you were someone who had been involved in an operation at the Dugway Proving Grounds out in Utah, there's a DUM there, deep underground military base that's very much involved with this issue.
You got your Steven Greer bingo card. He said DUMs, deep underground military
man-made anti-gravity, very advanced aircraft.
Man-made anti-gravity aircraft, and he
that
can't
prove I have people who have been there who've seen them come up at night and move out.
Name them.
Be huge black triangles.
Name them.
And those are ours, by the way. Now, there are some extraterrestrial ones that are similar. So if you can envision this, almost any airfoil or superstructure.
Here comes the fake physics BS from a guy who knows nothing about physics.
That they've observed that's of an extraterrestrial origin, they've been able to create, let's say, copycat or similar. So this makes this very confusing.
Yes, alien reproduction vehicles. We've heard this from you and Mark McCandlish and others since the 90s, but you have yet to prove it.
And unfortunately, opens up the possibility of a number of false flag, or what Pentagon called deceptive.
DJD's got his own top secret clearances.
Operations or false flag operations.
I can't prove it, but my friends can.
So let's say you're one of those guys, and you come to me and you say, my name is so-and-so, here's my DD-214, you prove you were there, but you say, I don't want to ever be identified publicly. But I will go into the skiff.
Oh, come on.
To provide this information to the people who have now made this pathway for me to come forward.
You can make
legally.
Excuses and do the
then I will arrange for that to happen. But that's what we're doing. And I'm making a call right now. Anyone, no matter how small or large your involvement was over the last 70 years with this issue, there's a pathway, there's a door open. We don't know how long it'll stay open.
Oh, hold on.
You've probably heard me.
We got to skip past his commercial here.
Culpable, because you're not at that policy-making level where you are willfully insubordinate to the Constitution.
And which comes the diatribe
everyone takes an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Writ large.
Yeah, I have heard him mention that.
Because you know the worst treasonous acts that have ever happened to any country that falls
stagecraft
is from within.
It's not real aliens, it's fake aliens.
That's what we're talking about here. So I want to be very clear about it. I know I'm coming on a little bit strong on it, but I am so outraged after dealing with this for 30 years and seeing this drag on.
We can, we're going to address the question, and he's collected millions of dollars just to make his films. He owns a several multi-million dollar properties that we can verify. He owns hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of very expensive land around his compound. He is living an opulent lifestyle. I would say so.
What my concern is that now that this law is in place, and it's only a month and a half on, right? We need to move expeditiously.
Yeah, he always says he has all this information, but we never get it.
Because who knows when someone may slam it shut. And there's a window we have to go through. And I think that...
By the way, the third phase of Fake Brothers are coming out with another new documentary from Steven Greer, which is going to be a repeat of all the other crap he's already said for the last 20 years.
We've started that process. So what I'm doing is putting out a request, and to appeal to people's patriotism. You know, my father was hand-to-hand combat on amphibious landing unit World War II, and had pretty bad PTSD from that, although they didn't know what that was.
A website, really?
I kind of feel like
I got 20 bucks.
We have to look at this and go,
thanks for being a member.
Given how this is operating, you know, it's our patriotic duty to fix this problem.
I agree.
Just from the point of view of the rule of law and civilization and the Constitution. Otherwise, what are we? We're a bunch of monkeys running around the jungle without the law.
Yeah.
The other issue is what's behind the secrecy.
That was my question.
That's a good point.
You know, that was when my first meetings with people.
Excellent point Cohen makes, that Greer did have briefs with presidents, Haynes and Fruit of the Loom briefs. Yeah. This thing about him briefing presidents is ridiculous. That's easy to prove or disprove. He can't prove that it happened, but we can prove that the presidential libraries all say he never had a meeting with those presidents he claimed to have briefed.
Like the CIA director, after like 10 minutes of going through the evidence, he says, yeah, I know this is real. He wanted to know, why is it this level of secrecy? Who's keeping it secret? How are they doing this? So that is actually the bigger question. The evidence you can get your mind around. We have it. It's been out there. If you look at Unacknowledged, if you get the book,
buy my shit.
We have a book called Disclosure. It's 500 some pages of transcripts of original top secret people's testimony and documents. It's all in there. So you can
including
get
fake
disclosure
documents.
book,
There are
you can
fake
get
documents. in his
unacknowledged, the
books.
book that goes with the documentary. It's there. But understand, and we also describe how this is operating. But the why behind it is kind of banal.
I agree. Exiled Minds podcast. That would be a little
in the sense
wacky,
of
right?
it's money and power.
Flexing when he points.
So let's say you have something that would fit on a little table this big.
Yeah.
And it's a generator.
Milk it. Yeah. Milk
And it's
that
pulling energy
disclosure
out of what's
cow.
called the quantum vacuum or 0-point energy field, which was proven to exist back in the 50s. Now, physicists have described this energy field. If you had a coffee mug, the amount of space in that coffee mug
energy grip.
has enough potential power to boil off all the oceans of the world, quote unquote. It's what Tesla called, not the fake car company, actually Nikola Tesla. I call it fake Tesla cars because if they're plugged into the grid, they're not real Teslas.
Oh yeah, I am.
We'll get into this.
Yeah, I want to suck his cock and everything.
But that energy field
that
is
moose knuckle he has. Oh, I love
everywhere.
It. I love
and you
it.
can
I
tap
love
into
that
it.
moose knuckle.
And when you tap into it, you're tapping into this energy field that can be converted to
I'm getting hard
electricity
right now just thinking about it.
or thrust.
So is the energy field,
right now.
is it everything in between objects? Is that?
It's not just between, it's within. So if you take,
we're on to
let's
free
take
energy.
the chair you're sitting in, or I'm
He's
in.
got to talk about free energy, unproven garbage for the next 20 minutes to sell his latest documentary full of garbage.
It's occupying a volume of space.
Mm-hmm.
When you get past the molecular to the atomic level of this, and then subatomic, the quarks.
Remember, he's not a
get
physicist.
This, into this
he's not even
pluripotent.
qualified to talk about this stuff.
It's like the foam at the surface of the deep ocean.
I'd like to hear alien scientists
that all of
his
matter
science
is
talking.
fluxing in and out of. The early Lockheed Skunk Works man-made UFOs were called flux liners.
Flux liners.
Yep. Because they were pulling energy from this quantum vacuum flux field. Very advanced physics.
Yeah, very advanced physics that nobody has ever proven. He's talking about the flux liners or the ARV, the Alien Reproduction Vehicle, which was a secondhand hearsay story by Mark McCandlish that has still to this day never been proven to be real or true or accurate. But we did get a lot of nice drawings of it. But go try to build a scale model and make it fly, Steven Greer. You can't, and you won't, because the flux liner, along with most of the other things that Steven Greer talks about, is an anecdote, a story with no evidence and no proof other than a secondhand hearsay account of having seen one and a drawing from Mark McCandlish. That's the only evidence there is of it.
I mean, we understand it very well. I want to put your audience to sleep going into the arcana of the physics of it, but
because he
point
can't.
I'm making is
Can't even explain the
that
physics because
was mastered
fake
decades
science fiction.
This technology has been around for decades.
Well, about 100 years that there has been empirical evidence of this energy field. Nikola Tesla called it the infinite energy field. There were others who discovered it all the way back to the late 1800s. Now they didn't have the physics down of what was happening, but in terms of just observing the phenomenon empirically, here you set up a high voltage system, suddenly more energy is coming out than you're putting in. Those are called over unity.
Yes, over unity device. And there has never been an over unity device that has been tested or measured to be real. And believe me, I've looked. An over unity device is essentially all the scams, the free energy scams that you hear about. Oh, you just power this thing with a 9-volt battery and it puts out 120 volts and you could power your house from it or this or that. Over unity is I call it a plot device for free energy scammers. There has never been one that has been proven to work, that has been measured by scientists and proven to work. But he talks about them as if they're factual, correct, and real. There has never been one that has been proven to be actually working and providing more energy out than you're putting in.
These systems or free energy, because once you get it tapped, it's just flowing, right? And so that means that every home, business, car,
Here comes the scam.
manufacturing, village in Africa would be able to have a device that would not be very expensive, frankly, to mass manufacture.
This is the same free energy pitch that every free energy invest with me scammer has used for decades now. Oh, it's this box-sized device and you can power a whole house from it, right? You know that old saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Oh, and by the way, it'll solve all the world's problems. Pollution will be over. We will no longer be dependent on foreign oil or coal. We won't pollute our atmosphere. It's clean, free energy. I'm going to say that again. It's clean, free energy. There's no such thing, except for solar panels, perhaps, which, by the way, I'm big on solar. I have a solar system at my cabin. Is that really a free energy device? It's debatable. But the small system that I have at my cabin is just enough to power a tiny little refrigerator, some lights, and a laptop. That's it. But it works. So do I believe free energy is real? Well, the only proven ones, energy systems that I think work, and it's not free energy, it's a transfer of energy. And that is in line with physics. You're transferring radiant energy of the sun into electrical energy, or you're changing wind energy into mechanical energy into electrical energy in the form of a wind turbine. Wow, that's a good place to stop it. This is the face that he makes when people don't give him money, right? Anthony Peterson says, I want Greer to call down the aliens with Billy Gibbons and his guitar. That would be worth the price of admission for front row seats. I absolutely agree with you. That would be great. That would be absolutely great. And by the way, you've given me an idea, Anthony Peterson, because I'm going to make a video about all of Dr. Steven Greer's greatest lies. And I'm going to put, I'll see if I can't pull something from a live performance or something of Billy Gibbons playing guitar, and we'll put it in. But thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. Longtime show supporter. We are so blessed by all of you kind and generous benefactors. Thank you for helping us to praise the cat.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
Thank you very, very much. Okay, and let's continue with this. I don't know how much more I can take.
That would generate all the energy they need for all the needs that we have for a modern civilization.
Solves all your problems.
And this would be wonderful. There's no pollution. There's no radiation.
What did I say?
And once you have the system, there's no cost. There's no refueling. The bad news is that if you're an oligarch, a global oligarch,
and here comes the cover-up
controlling the macro.
Here comes the cover-up story. Oh, those evil oil empire guys, they're covering up free energy technology. He has never proven any of this, and neither has any other. And by the way, this is the same pitch that all the free energy guys do. Oh, they're covering it up. There's a cover-up because the people who run the oil and gas industries don't want this technology out there. I beg to differ. I absolutely think that this is free energy. There has been proven hundreds and hundreds of free energy scams and scammers that have taken people's money, promised them they're going to end the cover-up, promised them they're going to save the world with these free energy devices, and they never, ever do. He's on the vinegar stroke. Oh, no.
Economic system, big oil, big global systems. And let me translate for those of you who've been in the Middle East. Our vital national security interests translates to one word, OIL, oil, energy. So the problem is, if that technology were to be disclosed.
By disclosure, yes. Here we go.
It's it's $1 quadrillion. It's $1,000 trillion or more in proven assets, oil, gas, coal, public utilities that are obsolete. It's like it's like a royal typewriter, a horse and buggy.
Yes, I do, Cohen.
That's what they're
He's
protecting.
there right now.
So the entire energy field, everything that has anything to do with energy.
This is the
becomes
UFO
completely
circles or
obsolete at this
climax.
point.
Yeah, and
Yes.
all
Which-
and all transportation systems, internal combustion engines, jet engines, rockets, surface roads. So now surface roads, I say that only because when you take that same physics and do a torsion, a counter-rotating field.
Here we go. All right, listen, he is about to just totally just bluff physics. Oh, you remember that free energy that I didn't explain how it works from a physics perspective because I'm not a physicist. I'm an alien lying scammer, and I haven't explained how that I actually know how free energy really works or been able to demonstrate it. But now I'm going to tell you that same technology, you just put a torsion field on it and then it becomes an anti-gravity device. Sure it does.
You can get what's called an electrogravitic effect.
Oh,
where
electrogravitics.
or
Yeah.
anti-gravity,
Not
pop culture
anti-gravity.
term. It's a terrible
Pop culture
term. It's
term.
not anti-gravity, but you can create this
I agree,
electromagnetic field
taxpayer. Absolutely.
where an object becomes
This
essentially
is garbage.
weightless
This guy is garbage
and can
peddler
move. This is why
extraordinaire.
if you look at the radar tracings of
Solar
these
Marshall,
things,
everything
these
he
objects
says
can be
is a
moving
lie.
at 200,000
Yeah.
miles an hour, make a right-hand turn,
Yeah.
and there are
So
occupants on
just
it.
like David Wilcock, he's saying that a free energy device. Hey, David Wilcock's going to have hover cars with a free energy engine. He's saying the same stuff. Well, once you've got free energy, you just put a torsion field on it, and then it's an anti-gravity device. It's like magic. No, it's science fiction gobbledygook nonsense. And Sean Ryan, come on, man. Come on. If he really knew the secrets of free energy, would he be sitting on your show? I don't know. I don't think so. And by the way, Mr. Ryan, we have demonstrated that he has been collecting money for free energy garbage since at least 2007, 2008. What has he produced, Mr. Ryan? Has he produced a free energy device? Did you ask him how much money he has collected from the public after promising he would develop a free energy device? Did you ask him what happened to the money that he collected from the public, from either the Orion project or from this Aero business he wanted people to invest in for free energy devices? How much money did he raise, Mr. Ryan? Where did the money go? Did you ask that? Did you research that? Were you even aware he ran two separate organizations and begged the public for money and investments and donations to create free energy devices and then has created nothing? Where did the money go, Mr. Ryan? It's a fair question, and you didn't ask it because you're misinformed about his history.
Now you
he's
know
sitting
it.
here pitching free energy and anti-gravity again because he's collecting $500,000 to make a film about free energy right now. And you're letting him do it, Mr. Ryan. You are letting him potentially turn your entire audience into a pool of victims who will give him money to produce a film now after he has collected money since at least 2008 to create a free energy device and never created one.
I mean, any pilot knows if you had the G-forces of that, your brains would come out of your nose.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way it'd be fatal. But because it's correcting for 1G, and there's a sort of a bubble, an envelope in space-time
Cohen's
that
funny.
this object is moving in, there's no limit to what it can do. So
They
it can
don't
go,
feel the G.
they don't feel it and go straight up, at like one of the
I don't know,
radar
Marshall,
things
but
we
I wanna
have
find that.
from Belgium, I got from the Belgian Air Force, was an object that was at, slightly above AGL, a few feet above ground level. And it went from there to boom, like 100,000 feet in one radar swoop.
More anecdotes, more stories.
We have a lot of cases like that we've
No
collected.
evidence.
And, the question at this point is, how is that happening? Well, we know how that's happening. And so here's the issue with disclosing all this. When you get past the superficial level, here's a machine, here's a device, here's this. The scientists like myself are going to say, well, how is it
He's a
doing that?
scientist?
I mean, if they have a
He's a
thinking
doctor.
brain,
Mm-hmm.
He's not
which
a
of course is
scientist.
a big assumption now with our educational system collapsing. It's sorry to say, but my God, I mean, the kids that are now trying to get educated in the system now, God help us all. So
John Trump
but
is Donald Trump's uncle.
the
by the way-
fact is that's going to be asked.
John Trump was actually literally involved with the UFO file for the U.S. government and the people who were in control of it. He verifiably was Sandy Smith. Yeah, he was there at MIT working for the person who had control of the entire UFO file for the U.S. government, or so the mythology goes.
Now, what's interesting is that the Pentagon has officially said those objects that have been released.
I agree, Solar Marshal.
Of
he should know
the
better.
Tic Tac and other UFOs that have been documented with sensors on ships, on board aircraft, and in space. Well, they're not disclosing those sensors, but I know what they are. Those are physical objects moving without any known means of propulsion. Go look at what's been said by the Pentagon.
Yeah, again, no visible means of propulsion, but no proof of no visible means of propulsion. Stories. And he's got documents that prove it. Well, where are the documents, Steven Greer? Again, we're calling his bluff today. And Mr. Ryan, you should have called his bluff too, because he has made so many fantastical statements in the first 40 minutes of this. I can't believe it.
Now, what the person who said that, the Pentagon, says we don't know how they're moving, because that spokesman,
yes, I am aware, he
hasn't
was a
been read
CIA
in
contractor, MJ,
to these deep black projects that are in this parallel universe of this secret government. It's been my job to collect the actionable intelligence, the documents, and the people who know this, and put it together and put it into briefings for people. So I've provided this to every Minister of Defense and Secretary of Defense for the 4 of the 5 eyes, which are, of course, U.S., Canada, Australia, UK.
He has provided brief. Here we go again. I'm going to back this up a little bit, because now he's doing the briefing claims again. And Mr. Ryan, did you ask him for paperwork? Did you ask him for names of people which he briefed? Again, we're calling his bluff. He has no verifiable evidence that he's ever briefed anybody.
Black projects that are in this parallel universe of this secret government. It's been my job to collect the actionable intelligence, the documents, and the people who know this, and put it together and put it into briefings for people. So I've provided this to every Minister of Defense and Secretary of Defense for the 4 of the 5 eyes.
Every Ministry of Defense and Secretary of Defense in all the major countries he has briefed. Again, Mr. Ryan, sending people a letter is not briefing them. Where is the evidence or the proof that he has actually briefed every Ministry of Defense or Secretary of Defense from the 4 eyes? He has no verifiable proof of that, Mr. Ryan. And in fact, we can prove that several of the people that he claims to have briefed, including all these presidents, there's no evidence of that, or they deny that that briefing took place. Again, this is very sloppy. You didn't do any fact checking, and you are literally letting him sit here and tell whoppers of lies with no verifiable evidence, no verifiable proof to your 1 million plus audience.
Which are, of course, U.S., Canada, Australia, UK. I have not done it for New Zealand. But in every single case, when I met with these guys, either they're former or current MOD heads or what have you.
Yeah, and here we go. He just said he met with them. So that means he should be able to give us their names. And again, I'm calling Steven Greer's bluff. This is all bluff. Where are the names of the people that you briefed? Give me a list of the Ministry of Defense people that you briefed. Give me a list of the Secretaries of Defense that you briefed, and we'll fact check you. Unlike Sean Ryan, who just let you lie to his audience, apparently. This is ridiculous that he's just sitting there lying and nobody cares to push back or ask him for proof of evidence. These are fantastical claims. He's briefed every Ministry of Defense and Secretary of Defense in Canada, Australia, England, and the United States. Great. What are their names? We can check with them.
They've said, we were never read into this.
Yeah.
So this data point, let me extend the data point globally.
Stories.
So some years ago, there was this really amazing guy named Lord Hill Norton.
Question.
He was a 5-star admiral. They used to call him a Sea Lord. Don't you love? I mean, I love the British. They're fantastic. A Sea Lord. And he had been head of the MOD which means in the UK, you're head of MI5, MI6, like our CIA.
Yeah, Haynes and Fruit of Loon. That's.
But he was also head of the military
has.
committee for NATO. And I met with him at his house in Wiltshire, in Hampshire, in England, some years ago. And he asked me to come because he wanted me to bring the briefing document that I had put together for the president. I think at that time it was the late Clinton years. And I said, all right, I'll come over. And I went over with my 4 daughters and wife, and they went off.
He wants the briefing document that he never gave to Bill Clinton, according to James Woolsey, former CIA director.
See the Salisbury Cathedral, and I went and met with this former MOD head, and he was livid.
By the way, when he does give names, they're dead people. This person that he's naming right here, the Sea Lord, he's dead. The person that he claims offered him $2 billion to stop talking about UFOs, he's dead. You will notice if you listen to enough Steven Greer, and I don't know why, but I sure have listened to enough of him. When he actually names a name, it's a dead person, so you cannot prove him a liar. He won't name names of anybody living that he's actually given briefings to, but he'll name a lot of dead people.
He says, this never came across my desk. I was never read into this. And I said, and yet I have files from your own MOD about the landing of one of these objects at the Bentwaters, Rendlesham Forest, Bentwaters Air Force Base.
No kidding.
Yep. I have
All right, Chris,
documents.
What am I wrong
I have
about?
The trace landing.
What am I wrong about?
I have the.
We showed earlier, Chris Welch, that he claimed that a dead man offered him $2 billion. The guy died recently in 2017. Have you, Chris Welch, checked with the presidential libraries to see if Steven Greer actually met with the presidents he claims to have briefed, including Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Mike Pence, the vice president, Barack Obama, George H.W. Bush? Because if you actually check, well, Trump's library isn't really up, or, I don't think so. I haven't checked with that one. But if you check with the Bill Clinton presidential library, no mention of Steven Greer. If you check with Barack Obama's library, no mention of Steven Greer. If you check with George H.W. Bush's library, presidential library, no mention of Steven Greer. Do you know that every meeting the president has is in his presidential library? Meeting, at least some mention that he met with a person? No mention of that. And further, James Woolsey, former CIA director, disputes that Greer briefed him. It was a dinner party. It wasn't a briefing. He lied. Further, Mr. Woolsey disputes that he ever briefed Bill Clinton on the issue of aliens or extraterrestrials. And by the way, I checked with Bill Clinton's library as well. No mention of Dr. Steven Greer. That's verifiable evidence. If you want to live in a fantasy land and make excuses or do mental gymnastics for why I can't find any record of his absolutely fantastic, ridiculous claims that he can never prove, then good luck for you. I have reviewed evidence, and we've shown a lot of it tonight. What evidence do you have that I'm wrong? And by the way,
U.S. military Air Force people's testimony that were there.
Bring some evidence, right?
So at this point, I have about 1,100.
Sure. Why would they put that in? Here come the mental gymnastics I talked about.
When one of these, in this case, it was an extraterrestrial vehicle, not one of the man-made ones.
Every minute of every day of a president's life is logged and available in their presidential library, right? And by the way, did you know that media representatives from Donald Trump's organization say they never heard of Dr. Steven Greer? And they never requested and or got a briefing from him? Do you know that CIA Director James Woolsey called him a liar, both about briefing Clinton and about briefing him? And he had 3 witnesses that was not a briefing, it was a dinner party? But do your mental gymnastics, right? Disclosure's coming any minute now. Just keep giving Dr. Steven Greer more money. He's already made millions. Maybe if we give him a few more millions, we might get one verifiable piece of real evidence or truth out of him instead of anecdotes, stories, lies, and fake top secret documents and fake aliens that are moths and fake aliens that are cactuses and fake spaceships that are military flares.
So we call them ETVs for the ones that are of extraterrestrial origin. The ones that are man-made are often called ARVs, alien reproduction vehicles, meaning that they're simulating.
Yeah, ARV.
Not totally,
came from
but
Mark
simulating.
McCandlish, and that story was never proven to be true.
The energy propulsion capabilities of what we've reverse engineered and studied since the 40s.
Okay.
Well, great stories. Still no proof of anything he's said so far.
We'll get into this in a moment. What's the technology transfer arc from the 40s to now? And that's very interesting. It's going to be in our new film called The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It.
Here's the film pitch. Give me money for my new film.
But the Minister of Defense was furious. And you know, he was a bit bombastic and kind of, you know, his piercing blue eyes, a real character. But he was, I think he was hurt. I mean, if you have that level of responsibility and you find out you were zoomed on probably the most important military and intelligence issue
will do
in the 20th century
to make excuses for why he has no proof, why he has no
evidence.
evidence.
And he said, well, why wouldn't they have told me? So it becomes personal for these men. And I said, well, let me ask your question with a question.
Get some candles.
He said, oh, what do you mean? He thought I was being an impertinent yank, which I can be. But no, I was doing it as sort of a way of sort of illustrating this point. And I said, well, what would you have done if you had found out that there was an organization and a project, global, that had engaged in assassinations, wet works of innocent people?
No, that's fine. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to get upset, because sometimes people come here and they just want to throw shit at me, you know? So we're good, Chris. But here's what I'm saying. Like, in 20 plus years of all these stories and making millions of dollars, Mr. Welch, he has yet to provide evidence or actual verifiable proof. And when he does, it's manufactured fake evidence. Like moths, he claims are extraterrestrial aliens. Like cactuses, he claims are extraterrestrial aliens. Like flares being dropped during military exercises that he charged people $3,500 to see, claiming they were spaceships. We can verify. Oh, and let's not forget the fake documents that were proven 100% fake by John from the Black Vault, the NRO documents. So every time he actually puts up a piece of evidence, we can prove that he's lying. When he says he briefed a sitting CIA director, we can prove he's lying. You know, when he claims he briefed presidents, we can prove he's lying. Or at least we can't find any evidence he's telling the truth, and he refuses to provide any evidence that he actually briefed presidents. So what I'm saying is, bring some evidence. If you want to tell me that I'm wrong, I will keep an open mind too. And I will look at anything you show me. But over the years, I have seen nothing but him grifting for money. Did you know he ran 2 separate free energy organizations that begged the public for money for donations and investment? And to the best of my knowledge and recollection, he raised somewhere around $500,000 with those. And he produced nothing. Now he just generated another $500,000 just to make a film about free energy. Do you think that this man should make $1 million from free energy when he can't even prove that free energy exists or demonstrate it for us? He promised a free energy device for one of those $500,000 fundraising efforts of his and provided nothing, right? Chris Welch, he said he went on a secret mission with Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top and saw alien technology that could regrow limbs in underground bases. Do you believe that's true? And let's not forget that he said an entire company in the state of Michigan got murdered. Well, we checked. No record of any of that. How many times do I have to prove to you that he continually lies before you no longer trust that what he's saying is accurate or truthful? It's a fair question. All right, let's continue.
So CIA term wet works for, you know, if you're on the watch group list.
Oh yeah, wet works. They take you they take you into some shower where they can murder you and just wash your blood down a drain. Yeah, wet works.
So I have been on. and that is engaging in all manner of criminal activities, up to including drug running, has embezzled trillions of dollars from Western economies. And they have the technologies that would save the Earth.
How can you embezzle trillions of dollars from economies and get away with it? Well, I guess you can if you're the government. There's trillions missing from the Pentagon every year. That I'll give them.
Biosphere in a generation in poverty. But they are now an existential threat to the world and to the United States.
Yeah, it was Michigan, I believe. I'd have to check my notes, but I believe
almost jumped out of his chair and says, "I wouldn't have stood for it for a bloody minute." Like that, just in a rage. And I went, "Well, that's why they didn't tell you." He says, "What do you mean?" I said, "Because you're not a sociopath. You're not someone who would absolutely, willfully know about that and go along with that agenda." And I call it, because I'm a doctor.
I have seen a lot of tantalizing maybe evidence, Dirty Pox, but I have not found any one smoking gun thing that convinced me. And in fact, a lot of people don't know, but I'm an experiencer myself. I saw something when I was 10 years old. That's what got me so stuck down this rabbit hole. I was sure that I was going to solve my own personal mystery and figure out what it is that I saw. For a long time, I believed it was aliens. Now I believe that most likely what I saw was a top secret, some sort of test aircraft that was electrically propelled somehow. So do I believe electrogravitics may be possible, or electrically propulsed aircraft? Sure. Do I believe that the government has secret projects and propulsion systems we don't know about? Sure, because I can see evidence of that. But the alien hypothesis eludes me. But I'm still here, and I'm still digging, and occasionally I come across more tantalizing maybe evidence, more tantalizing maybe proof. But mostly what I see is anecdotes and stories and mythology that's created around these subjects without verifiable proof or evidence. And that is the big letdown that I have talked about many, many times. It's a big letdown, right? I'd love it if what I saw was an alien spacecraft. And I'd love to prove that what I saw was an alien spacecraft when I was 10 years old. And if somebody could prove that aliens are indeed visiting Earth, then I could say, yeah, what I saw may have been an alien spacecraft. But until then, I'm still here digging through the garbage piles of fake information like this. I have mentioned it's like being in a dumpster looking for a penny, right? And you're digging through that dumpster that's full of trash looking for the penny. You start throwing all the trash out. You get the dumpster halfway emptied out, trying to find that magic penny. And then somebody like Dr. Steven Greer or Third Phase of Moon or one of these other grifters, Linda Moulton Howe, Corey Good, David Wilcox, somebody just comes along and fills that dumpster full of garbage again. And you're still looking for that magic penny. But you get, the chances of you finding that magic penny are lessening and getting worse and worse. The more garbage people keep piling on top of you in that information dumpster that you're trying to dig through.
Doctor, I call it a soul biopsy. They do a deep psychological analysis, and they will test people early on in their career if they will do the right thing or the wrong thing. If you're willing to do things that you know are ethically wrong to get ahead, it's the very definition of a sociopath. Then you get groomed little by little.
Yeah, he's talking about sociopaths, the guy who's been manipulating.
And I said, but you are deemed not to be of the right stuff. Not John Glenn astronaut right stuff, but the right stuff for someone who had been involved at that level, higher level, because you would never have gone along with that agenda.
He briefed himself.
And if you hadn't gone along with it and you knew about it, they would flat out kill you.
Cactuses aren't ETs.
Absolutely.
Maybe
like
peyote,
the Secretary Forrestal, for a fact, was thrown out of a hospital window and killed.
He's a honeypot.
General George S. Patton, in an alleged automobile accident, was killed because he would want to disclose.
Here's a CIA contractor that's helping him lie to millions of people right now. It's verifiable that Sean Ryan was, besides being a former Navy SEAL, he was also a verifiable CIA contractor. And here he is doing zero fact checking, Sean Ryan, allowing Dr. Steven Greer to lie to million plus subscribers and doing no fact checking. That seems like an op to me, right? A former CIA contractor is helping him spread this disinformation, misinformation, false information. This is the CIA disclosure op, or it could be part of it. And why are there so many CIA people involved in the UFO field since 2016?
Close to the public, the anti-grav device that looked like a saucer that we got from Germany in 1945. How do I know this? Because Paul Mellon, one of the few billionaires in the world who funded Adolf Hitler, along with George
overhype, overpromise,
George H.W. Bush's father, Henry Ford, and Watson of IBM. Paul Mellon was one of the few billionaires at the end of World War II, the Mellon family. And his grandson's on my team, who happens to have been Senator John Warner's son, the Republican senator from Virginia, just passed away.
Absolutely.
And Paul Mellon told John Warner IV,
dig a little deeper, that
when the war ended, they went over and grabbed this thing because Adolf Hitler, his aerospace geniuses, were working on this disc.
Oh, now
it was not jet or rocket. It was electrogravitic. It was electromagnetic. They hadn't perfected.
Now I was going to talk about the Nazi UFOs, which again have never been proven to be real. No verifiable evidence of Nazi UFOs, but every UFO grifter talks about the secret Nazi UFO programs where they had anti-gravity.
They were working on that. We had the atomic bomb. But they brought it back, and Patton was going, George Patton was going, this is amazing what this would do for the world. No, this is going to be deep black. And he did not think that was a wise thing to do, so they took him out, made it look like an automobile accident. So this kind of skullduggery happened. So I told the Minister of Defense, this is why they're not going to tell you.
Right? We're just going to pick
because you're a good man. You're patriotic. You're sincere. You're have morals and integrity and ethics. No one like that's going to get at the top of that.
I agree. We can have it.
Yeah. Because by definition, you've got to be somebody willing to subvert the law and do all manner of horrific things. And this is where people have to understand there have been CIA directors who were involved with this. I dealt with one who was helping us after he retired.
Oh, I agree. But I hope I find the proof.
CIA Director Colby.
It would be good for the show if I did, right?
Ford Nixon era.
Okay.
Way before my time, but he was an old guy wanting to help us.
I'll give you that one.
A lot of these people, when they get old enough to think they're going to meet their maker, they get a conscience or they have a change of heart. Mm-hmm. As they get up into their 70s, 80s.
Deathbed confessions from people he won't name.
But it has nothing to do with your rank. This is what people have to get their head around. Whether you're president, CIA director, SecDef, this senator, this member of parliament, if you know about it, it's because you were read in because you're willing to go along with that agenda. If you don't know about it, you have the same rank.
Right.
It's because they assess that you wouldn't go along with that agenda, which is an illegal operation.
Yes.
So this is what everyone needs to get their heads around. Now, the only way to resolve this are people who don't. I had this fire of tests where I started out very early in my work on this, involved with the director of the CIA and the head of Army Intelligence and all these sort of people. For a reason we can get into in a moment, because basically my group had discovered the Rosetta Stone of being able to contact these objects, and it works. Go look.
Okay, so he says CE5 works. So he can demonstrate for us that he can vector in alien spaceships, right? He said it works. Again, we're calling his bluff tonight. He says CE5 works. So show us the aliens, dude. Show us some spaceships then. Or stop taking people's money for a garbage app with transcendental meditation garbage. Right? He says it works. Why can't he demonstrate it then?
Look at the movie Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. It's kind of out there stuff, but it's real. So I think that when you start to entertain this idea of how this is structured, you got to get your mind first around that. But also,
show me.
On top of the fact, and this is a really key point, please listen carefully to this. We have this bill that we worked to get through that's now gives a pathway for anyone to come forward.
Maybe willowy.
Now, they will be coming forward to folks who are going to take them into a skiff, and it'll be TSSCI type stuff.
I believe
so their testimony may or may not get to the public. If they provide it and willing to provide it, I will provide it.
Shows us garbage.
Why? So listen very carefully. By 1997 in the fall, we had concluded, my military advisors and all these people, that I had sort of a kitchen cabinet. Because everything you're hearing me done, we've done without an office, without a paid staff, without a budget. It's all been a labor of love,
he's
probably 15 million
love and millions of dollars.
15 million.
Yeah, earnings and everything. I don't care. I mean, when I realized what was at stake, it's like, I walked away from my medical career.
Whoa, wait a minute. Did he just say he made
staff without a budget? It's all been a labor of love. I put probably 15 million into doing this.
He claims that he put 15 million into doing this. Can we get a spreadsheet? Again, I'm calling his bluff on all of this stuff. Boy, is he telling some whoppers. He put $15 million into doing this. Look at Sean Ryan's face. $15 million. Where did he get $15 million? He was an ER doctor, like an emergency room doctor. I don't know many emergency room doctors that just have $15 million laying around. Or is this another story like the $2 billion bribe offer he got from the U.S. government to stop talking about aliens?
15 million.
Yeah. Earnings and everything. I don't care. I mean, when I realized what was at stake, it's like, I walked away from my medical career to do this, which is very hard. I still have dreams about being in the ER doing stuff, but that chapter is closed. And plus I'm too old. I'm 67. So I'm not going to, that's not an older guy's game. It's tough. I was mountain bike and surf. I had fun. But what you realize over by this time, I've gone through all these meetings and briefings.
Yeah, but who though? Because some of those stories are fake. People claim Phil Schneider got murdered. He was a mental patient who hung himself. Was it suspicious kind of a death? Sure, but he was a wackadoo. Who else got murdered? People claim that Bill Cooper got murdered. That was suicide by cop. He shot at cops and they shot back and killed him. Who got murdered for talking about this? Where is a verifiable case of murder from someone that was talking about this?
Said, well,
this guy at the beginning of this interview claimed that 3 of his friends got assassinated for talking about this stuff, but he won't name them, right? And there's no police reports, there's no investigations, there's no evidence, there's no proof.
This is an illegal, unsanctioned operation. And if it's illegal, it's outside the Constitution.
Yeah, she probably is.
Therefore, all the National Security Act laws and all the non-disclosure agreements all these men have signed are vitiated. They're null and void, canceled. So we wrote a letter.
So why
those
can't
of you in
you
the
show
military
us
may
it
know
working,
this kind of a ruse. It's
Did
called
you know
a
that he
UNOD.
does that with people and charges $3,500 and then he shows them moths and claims they're aliens? He charges people $3,500 and then he shows them cactuses off in the distance and claims they're extraterrestrial aliens. He charges people money to show them spaceships during CE5 events and then shows them verifiable military flares from military exercises. We can verify all these things happened. He charges money and then shows people garbage. If this really works, why can't he show us real verifiable proof that it's an alien spacecraft or an extraterrestrial? It's because it's garbage and it doesn't work. Or he could prove it.
Otherwise,
he could prove it and make 1,000 times more money than he is right now.
It's directed letter.
But he doesn't.
And the way it works is
because he can't.
I wrote a letter that's an assessment.
Yeah.
And it said, based on the following meetings and intelligence we've gathered, it's our assessment that all projects related to the UFO issue, including the man-made research and development projects and the extraterrestrial issue, have been run in an illegal fashion outside the Constitution because the people who should know if they were sanctioned don't. And
okay, so he's making claims of all kinds of illegal activity, but again, he has proven 0 of these claims. And he's been doing this for 20 plus years, claiming that there's these illegal organizations being run illegally, and they're hiding the truth about back-engineered alien technology. But why can't he prove any of it?
And they have been deliberately lied to and deceived.
It's a great story.
Because of that,
and it sounds reasonable.
They cannot enforce legally in any court in the land a prosecution against any whistleblower, anyone with material, and anybody with documents.
Free money, talking about fake
and
money.
I said, and I gave 90 days for all the different, it went to every head of every agency and relevant
he spent
Department of
$15
Justice,
million
FBI,
on this?
the whole alphabet.
Really? I believe
Return
he made
receipt
$15 million.
They got it, signed for it, got it back.
I don't believe he spent it.
And I waited the 90 days, and then I declared, okay, now we're going to go public. So I pivoted from doing these private offsite often.
Yeah, I really have
briefings for members of Congress and
I've been on this guy since
level
early
folks
2000.
over
I started
to
hearing
a
about him in the year 2000. So 23 years.
Project. And that was how
that's something that's important too. Let's talk about that for a moment. The history here is important. I've listened to everything that this man has said for 23 years. I'm able to spot some of the patterns he repeats in the same old stories. You know, I call it SOS. It's Steven Greer SOS. Same old stories, still no proof. You know, he was telling some of these stories in the year 2000 with no proof. It's 23, it's 23 years later. You would think by now, while telling those SOS, same old stories, he would have some evidence to show. He would have some proof. But all we get is moths he claims are aliens, cactuses he claims are aliens, flares from military exercises he's charging people money to see, claiming they're spaceships, and fake documents. So it is important. And by the way, I feel like a dummy. Like I wasted, how much of my time have I wasted? I literally have listened to everything that this guy, every interview that he's ever done, every lecture. There was a time when on YouTube you could get his lectures from UFO conferences and events. A lot of them have slowly disappeared, but I listened to all of those. I bought all of his books. And despite all of that, the more I listen to him, the more I am convinced that he is a grifter. And he will never provide any evidence or proof. Remember, some of these stories he's been telling for 23 years, making money off of. What? But he has yet to provide evidence or proof. If you're charging people money for this to tell these stories and claim that they're true, shouldn't you provide evidentiary, backup that you are indeed telling a true story? But he doesn't. He never does. Anytime he provides evidence, we can pick it apart as garbage, usually. Fake documents, moths, cactuses, right? Stories about going on secret missions with Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top. Stories about briefing presidents that can never be verified or can be refuted as false, right? Briefing world leaders like CIA directors, and then that guy gets pissed off and writes a letter that he's full of shit. But yes, I don't know why, but I've watched everything he ever done. And by the way, in the year 2000 and the year 2001, I was one of those disclosure dorks. That's why I think I'm good at some of this commentary and analysis, because I've been here for so long with this stuff happening, right? And in fact, I would say probably since 1985, I have been heavily engrossed in this stupid subject. Bought every book, went to libraries to get books when I was a kid. I used to ride my bike to all the local libraries because my local library only had like one or two books about paranormal stuff or UFOs. I used to ride my bike to everywhere I could ride my bike. I would ride my bike for hours. If I would call the librarian. This is back before the internet. I would call the librarians. I got the phone book out, get the library's phone number, call the librarian. You got any books on UFOs? I didn't care if it was 10 miles away. I would get on my bike, get a backpack. My mom would pack a lunch. I'd go to that library. Yeah, I was quite obsessed. But in the year 2000 and 2001, I really believed him. And I thought that he was going to bring disclosure. And we are now, I would say 10, well, I don't know about 10, but at least 5 disclosure saviors from Steven Greer. Steven Greer is the original savior, disclosure messiah. He's a disclosure. He's going to bring us disclosure, and he never did. And now we've been through 5 more. We've had Tom DeLonge, we've had Lou Elizondo. Some people would say Stan Romanek was one of those guys. He turned out to be a kiddie porn collector. Many, many prophets of disclosure, but they never deliver on their promises. And that's the unfortunate part.
Starlight, which was this quiet operation that I was doing just with senior folks in the government, became the Disclosure Project.
He's doing a disclosure project with senior folks in the government, but he can't name any of them. This is the problem. This guy has gotten away. I would love to be the guy who interviews him. One time, I would love to I tell you the truth, I would love to interview him, and I am the most qualified person to interview him, probably because I'm aware of all of his history. And we see what happens when somebody like Sean Ryan interviews him. He doesn't know any of his history, so he's ill-prepared to fact check him, to demand evidence, to say, hey, no, that document you're talking about is fake. It's unfortunate.
And so the Disclosure Project then led to the 2001 National Press Club event you mentioned on May 9th. But there was a process here. I want people to understand. I wanted to dot my I's and cross my T's, that I wasn't running afoul of the law, and I was going to give the U.S. government every opportunity to do the right thing.
Oh, how nice of him. He was going to let the government tell the truth about those aliens before he spilled the beans. Sure.
And get their move into this issue. And they wouldn't. The president was intimidated. Members of Congress didn't know what to do about it because they were individual members. They hadn't come together.
We agree on some things. I'm glad.
That took another 20 years. See, I'm trying to give you the arc of this so people understand the context. So at that point, we did it. And, I had the first 100 or so of these guys that we have on videotape. And then about 22 of them came to the National Press Club event. Now, the ones that are the more deeper sources, some of them didn't want to come forward because they were afraid. And even though they knew about my unless otherwise directed letter, that was from a civilian making the statement. And they wanted an official
when he does
pathway
investigation.
And I said, well, I don't control the Congress. I can only, sort of advise folks. And if they don't do it now, and this is why this is such a huge breakthrough for people listening to this show. There are a lot of Navy SEALs and Delta guys and Force guys and certain Marine branches that have been at facilities, been operative, tactically or operationally involved. We need you to contact us. And here's the website, SeriousDisclosure.com. But you can just write to info@SIRIUS.
Here, let's get some more so-called whistleblowers.
Disclosure.com. And we'll handle it very confidentially. If you don't want to be known publicly, you never will be. But I will arrange for you to be brought to the correct people in D.C. who are the best folks I've ever found. They're former special operations, military.
And again, he won't name any of his so-called high-ranking military contacts, which means this is bullshit.
That are now the equivalent of if they were in the military, they'd be a 2-star general, but they're working in the congressional end, helping with this. And they're not known by the public. It's not what you see in the media. And they will see that information gets to the people who need to know. I can't be more specific because I'm walking a razor's edge here with what I'm saying. But that's what we're doing. And we need people to understand that this is a patriotic duty given what is at stake. Because here's what at stake. First of all, the Constitution and how intact is the constitutional government of the United States. That's been completely subverted by this issue.
Oh, sure. Yeah. The government's really worried about aliens. Sure.
People who control it. Secondly, the future for our children. I mean, I just had my 12th grandchild born. What kind of world do we have? I always tell people, we don't have a free market. How do you have a free market if the most important scientific technologies in the last 100 years have been ruthlessly suppressed?
Yeah, here we go. It's all covered up by these evil, unnamed bad guys.
People killed, and they've been
People have been killed, but he never proved that anybody has been killed.
illegally classified, so that we're still
Illegal classification.
burning
He's never proved anybody illegally classified anything.
diesel and jet fuel A.
Yeah. This is one of those Steven Greer SOS, same old stories.
We don't need it. Now,
Do you want to talk a little bit about why they're hiding all this technology when it comes to free energy with the utilities and everything, just to piece it together for everybody?
Oh yeah, the big cover up, the oil industry, the gas industry, they murder everybody that has a free energy device or they buy it. Same old story. Here we go.
I do. It's one word or two words: money and power. Now, when you're talking about, most of us think, gee, money, do I have enough money to put my kids through college? These guys are, that's not the issue. It's massive macroeconomic geopolitical power. Because now we're talking hundreds of trillions of dollars in assets.
Mm-hmm.
Now, keep in mind the entire U.S. government budget.
John has to know he's
whatever
lying.
it is,
It's been over an
$5
hour.
trillion.
No, I don't think. I think he
rounding
believes
error.
him.
And most of that's not discretionary
He talks
spending.
about
That's
being a big fan of
entitlements,
his
Medicare,
and watching all his
Medicaid, Social
documentaries
Security.
before the interview.
So when you're looking at these interests that want to maintain the status quo of the world
maybe if you had any
financial,
real evidence,
macroeconomic, and energy
investigations
system,
one.
they will do almost anything to maintain that, even if it kills the planet, keeps, right now there's 3 billion souls on the planet that don't have any way to cook their food. They're chopping down rainforests and shrub in the desert in Africa. They don't have any electricity or gas.
Yeah.
3 billion. This just came out in The Economist, a mainstream economic journal. So how do we, and that of course builds into the extreme poverty. It leads to radicalization, terrorists, resentment of the West.
Yeah, connect all these dots, right?
I mean, there are huge implications for this mistake that was made almost a century ago. Now, and this is known by a number of people.
Yes, he has children.
How
and 12,
what a
he has
huge mistake.
3 or 4 daughters, I think, and 12
So
grandchildren.
when you're talking about the
Somebody's
motivation
grandpa.
here, I mean, people have killed.
His grandchildren must be real proud of him. Hey, there's our grandpop on the internet lying again, right? Ridiculous.
For a lot more than $900 trillion, and the level of corruption is worrisome. Now in 92.
Yeah, and here's where he will use commonly held beliefs to reinforce people's beliefs. Everybody knows or believes that the government is corrupt, and he uses that to his advantage. Yeah, I'm going to talk about how corrupt the system is so that people believe me when I say all these stories with no evidence, right? It's because of corruption in the government. They're hiding the UFO
General
secret.
Albert Stubblebind III, Bert, who had been head of Special Forces and Army Intelligence, Fort Huachuca. He intercepted me.
Here's the clip we've already played about how he was offered $1 billion to walk away. Sure.
After we had this major contact event out in Florida.
Yeah, so a dead man offered a guy who we cannot verify the story is true or false, can't get a comment from. He claims offered him $2 billion to stop talking about the aliens. Sure.
And near Pensacola. And he subsequently, about a month later, personally offered me $2 billion.
I agree.
Not pursue what I was doing and become part of his
$2 billion.
team.
$2 billion.
With a B, in 92. And I thought it was a joke, and it wasn't. And he described to me a sort of a black fund that they had gotten from the collapse of the Soviet Union in Eastern Europe, and that I would have complete access and control over it. But I have to be on their sort of team. They were trying to neutralize what I was doing.
Send it to me on Facebook. So
and as many people know, the CIA and some of those organizations have remote viewers who use consciousness to see remote places.
Yeah, he's so greedy.
They've done studies with the Monroe Institute.
Oh yeah, I knew Bob Monroe, all those guys. And Ingo Swann is a friend of mine, all these guys. But so they knew what kind of trouble this I could make. So people have to also get their mind around the kind of just sheer.
I've heard rumors of that. I don't know if that's true.
Bribery, corruption that happens on top of threats, Oppo research. They'll make up deep fake photos and videos to defame you. I've been called everything you can meet. And then they try to buy you. Often if they have to, they'll try to kill you. if you're doing things at this level, I've been like such a troublemaker for them.
I mean, I think it's not so hard to believe anymore, you know?
Well, anyone who's done your work can see the kind of things that could happen.
I can see it, but
Yeah.
I think a lot of the U.S. population can't see it. Unfortunately, I think maybe.
And is it true that the United States government would murder troublemakers? Sure. Look at they were gonna assassinate Assange, but are they really going to murder somebody that's telling fake stories about aliens with fake documents, and his proof rises to the level of pictures of moths and cactuses he claims are aliens? I don't think so. It's just a way that they try to reinforce the importance of and the truthfulness of the information that they're sharing, and they're risking their lives. David Wilcock and Corey Good do this as well.
Unfortunately, but fortunately, the Epstein trials,
Mhm.
you know, and then everything that happened around
Right.
around that, it's, you know, the judge there was a assassination attempt on the judge.
Mhm.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
Mhm.
All these things, you know,
Right, right.
and so it's
Well, for once, I
becoming
agree with John
more.
Ryan.
I hate to say,
Accepted.
yeah, I hate to say accepted, but it's out there,
Mhm.
and it's becoming more.
He
and
forgot
more,
the best
and more
example is
common.
Julian Assange.
Well, and I think that, so imagine the stakes of something like you just mentioned, which I had no knowledge of, and it's just whatever, you know, people are weird.
People are.
Imagine something a
This guy's
millionfold
weird.
Mhm.
in terms of its implications for the stakeholders who want to maintain their hegemony and control of the global military, industrial,
I
financial
forgot to have a
sector.
Greer background.
That's the level we're talking about. We're not talking about the boots on the ground, the guys who are the colonels who manage. I just brought a lieutenant colonel to DC who had been involved with these projects, and he had been watching what I'd been doing for 20 years and was waiting for this law to pass.
Sure he was. All right.
Friends,
That looks like this is a commercial break. We've gotten up to 1 hour, and I hate to do this, but I'm going to have to. We're going to have to do a few things and a wrap up here. I wasn't going to, but we're going to go through the rest of it. I will be at the cabin this weekend, so either tomorrow night or Saturday, we'll go through the rest of it. We've got an hour and 20 minutes left. We had great attendance, so people want to hear this, and we will be happy to bring it to them, to bring it to you, all of you. I want to thank Terry Brown for becoming a member. Thank you, Terry Brown, new YouTube member. Thank you for kindness, generosity, and support of the show. Hit that member tab after tonight's show, and you'll get a bunch of extra goodies, extra videos for members only. And I hope you enjoy that. And thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support of the show. Solar Marshall says the fact that he works with Third Phase of Moon shows what's going on. Those guys ruined Michael Schratt. Yeah, I haven't talked to him since all that, and I worry about Michael Schratt. I liked him, and he shouldn't be involved with them. It affects his credibility. You know, Michael Schratt was once viewed as credible. Working with Third Phase of Moon is a surefire way for people to think that you're a scammer too, and that's unfortunate for Mr. Schratt or anybody who works with them. Yeah. If you work for Third Phase of Moon, you have no credibility whatsoever. Yeah, well, that's what I've been saying. Solar Marshall says it's harmed our friendship. Have you talked to him about it? I haven't talked to you. We used to talk 3 times a week. Well, yeah. Truthseeker merchandise. It's coming very soon. I hope to make an announcement about that next week. I really do. I really do hope to do that. And I have to, we'll take care of some business. Now, I have to say this because people jump off as soon as I do this. The show is not over. We'll be right back after this short message about how you can support the show. And I'm going to be taking comments and questions from the live chat. So please put your comments or questions in all capital letters. And we're not done. We will be right back. I promise.
Truthseekers is a viewer-supported show. Wonderful people like you who enjoy this show send pledges in the form of super chats, super stickers, super thanks, PayPal, or Cash App. Instructions for how to help are in the description. You can also join our Patreon, and for as little as $1 a month, you can get extra content. Patreon supporters get a backstage pass, early access to all our production videos before they are distributed publicly, Steven Cambian's music, private writings, a monthly show journal, and more. You can also become a YouTube channel member for $5 a month. A YouTube membership includes all of the Patreon benefits, plus a special members badge, priority reply to video comments, and the live chat, plus a monthly members only video. We thank you all, kind and generous benefactors, for supporting Truthseekers. Thank you for your generosity and support. Thanks for being here. This is Truthseekers with your host, Steven Cambian. Please rate, like, and comment on our videos or podcasts. If you are listening to an audio podcast, please rate us 5 stars to help us rise in the search rankings. If you are watching on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. If you're listening to an audio podcast, we love and appreciate you listeners, but you are missing the live tapings. All our shows are recorded live with video feed. We'd love you to come be a part of our live broadcasts and tapings for the podcast. Head on over to YouTube, click the search tool, the little magnifying glass, put Truthseekers, one word in the search bar, and hit enter. You'll see a strange and mysterious guy with sunglasses. That means you found the channel. Go there, smash the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to receive up-to-date info on our YouTube channel. We welcome you to be a part of our live taping and our chat room during the live broadcasts. Seek the truth. Speak the truth. This is Truthseekers. Truthseekers.
Okay, we are back, and I'll be taking just some comments and questions from the live chat. Third Phaser Trust Fund babies, they got $10 million from it. They're just dicking with us. I'm sure they probably get paid by the government. Oh, no. Solar Marshall says, Greer is a name-dropping cell gangster, which means he has a big mouth with no backup. Yeah, I mean, awful lot of claims that he has made over 23 years of this, and he still has yet to provide verifiable evidence or proof. By the way, somebody messaged me and asked me what that was. I still haven't eaten my Valentine's Day chocolates, right? Yeah, I better do that. I'm going to do that. These are delicious. And I hope you all had a great holiday. I'll be at the cabin this weekend, but look, I'm going to go through the rest of this because I don't like doing half of a interview. We'll go through the rest of it, and I'll see if I can't dig through my files and get some more fun stuff about Greer to go with it. Claire says, great show. Yeah, we want to welcome all you new viewers. I saw somebody say, finally, YouTube gave me, subscribed. Welcome, new subscriber, VW Blue Sky. I think that was you that said you finally got a good recommendation from YouTube, and we are doing our best to please the AI algorithm gods. UFO John Doe with a kind and generous $1.99 super chat saying, great show, Stephen. Thank you, longtime show supporter UFO John Doe. And thank you for being a member. Much, much appreciated. And Stacy Wright with a kind and generous $5 super chat and being a member. You guys are so generous. I love and appreciate all of you for your kindness, your generosity, and support of the show. You know, years ago, when I was a child watching Channel 12, my dad used to give money every year. And he used to complain because he gave them a lot of money and he got something little in return, like a mug. You know, he would give them $100 and only get a mug or a tote or a t-shirt or something. But he really loved documentaries and he wanted to support good programming. And it's interesting to me that many years later, I am running a viewer-supported show. And I got to get some mugs or some other stuff for people to complain about to start giving out to you kind and generous supporters. I really do truly appreciate it. It really makes the show work. Teamwork makes the dream work. It's all of us. We're in this journey together, and I'm so happy that I can take you with me. And thanks for helping me to praise the cat.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
Thank you for your kindness. I appreciate it. So I'm going to be at the cabin this weekend, but we're going to do the other part of this. I have to. I had an accident that took me out for a while. I'm back. If you ever need to go over some crap, I may be able to come up with find a video of Greer screaming on stage. Find it. Send it to me before this weekend, right? I really do appreciate it. B. Baker reminding everybody, hit like, subscribe, and share. Leave a comment on the video. It really does help. We don't care if you give money. Please at least do that if you have the time. We don't care if you give money. That's it. B. Baker is fired. What are you doing? No, he's right. There's two ways to help us. One way is to throw money at us because money buys everything, software, equipment, and it buys time. The more money we generate here, the less I have to do other things in my life to generate funds. And the more time that I have to do research, investigations, work on video editing, show stuff, whatever the case may be, I'd like to have some more time to do some custom music for the show. Everything is a time crunch. And by the way, I'm late for a date with my wife right now. And some of you gentlemen know what I mean, right? I think she's waiting for me, so I'm going to have to bounce on out of here. But we have a wonderful music video to end the show with tonight that features Dr. Steven Greer. He's an actor and a con man. You should see one of his phony CE5 lectures. Yeah, I agree. How does the Earth's atmosphere have air pressure when it's surrounded by a near-perfect vacuum? Yeah, that's a good question, and I'm not a scientist or a physicist. Well, I have a background in computer science, but that's really not my wheelhouse. Are you saying it's flat Earth or what? I'm not quite sure I understand, Angel, but yeah. Operators are standing by. Taxpayer enjoyed the show. Yeah. I agree. Glen Carn whiskey glasses, maybe. Yeah, maybe we could get some Truthseekers glasses or mugs or something. We are working on merchandise. We're going to have that soon. And I'm going to be making a major announcement about cryptocurrency. So many of you have asked me about, can you donate crypto? And I've always kind of tried to, I avoided that for the longest time. Oop, what did that happen? I have avoided the crypto thing for long enough. And so starting very, very soon, not only are we going to be on a new platform, but a new major video platform has welcomed us. And we're setting that up now. And we're going to have a deal with them where we get paid by them in crypto. And so I have to get a new crypto wallet just for the show. I have my own, but we don't commingle funds. My wife's an accountant. So that's getting set up, and starting very soon, we're going to be praising the cash and crypto cash, as well as regular cash, PayPal, whatever people want to use to donate. And that reminds me, I have to check in with you kind and generous PayPal pledgers. And we want to thank all of you. I always try to encourage people, if you're going to send a big amount, especially, please do it on PayPal because they take so little of it. We want to thank Michael for a kind and generous $100 PayPal pledge. Thank you for kindness, generosity, and support of the show. It is much, much appreciated. Thank you, Michael, for kind and generous $100 PayPal pledge. Thank you.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your generosity. Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the
Yes, we are praising the cache, right? Mark Ferguson says, you're a great researcher and fact checker, just like alien scientists. Yeah, we're friends. He's one of the few people in this that I'm still friendly with. He's awesome. I love Jeremy. And I'm inviting him this year to my cabin for the summertime. And I'm hoping that him and his kids, or him and his family, or just him, will come, and maybe Solar Marshall too. You can hop in, and that would be awesome. Have some fun at the cabin, do some sky watching. I got a new telescope just for the cabin. Can't wait to use it. I have to sort of put it together. It comes in a lot of parts, and I know that's going to be a major project. So, but we're going to get that together, and it allows me to film through the telescope as well, both still images and video. So if I do catch anything, we might get some great content for the show from some sky watches. We've been speaking about that. Well, I got plenty of room now, Solar Marshall. That's almost 900 square foot cabin now. And I have an extra room on the side for guests. And there's a pull out sofa bed, and we have extra bedding, and you'll be comfortable. And there's also a camping trailer next to the cabin that sleeps two single beds in it. And it's got its own bathroom and little kitchen. You are most welcome. Have some theories about the college killer. Yeah, we got to get back to the true crime. And by the way, we did expand our horizons. We covered this James O'Keefe and Project Veritas story. Just check our main channel. I'd appreciate if you guys are interested in what's going on with him being thrown out of his own organization. I think we did a good job covering his sort of resignation speech. I think it's good we're trying to expand into other subjects and not always be on the UFO crazy train, right? And we appreciate the support that we had. We did an unscheduled, unannounced 2 a.m. show, and we had almost 100 live viewers at 2 o'clock in the morning for a totally off topic for us subject. You know what happens if we're not covering the usual paranormal, conspiracy land, UFO stuff. We get half the viewers usually, or less than half. I was thinking there was only be like 20 people there. We had almost 100. So thank you for that. And I got a couple of nice emails from you people across the pond, you people in England and Australia, thanking me for doing the show at a time you can catch it. We're going to try to do that more. All right. So we have done our due diligence. I'm calling Steven Greer's bluff. This is part 1. And we'll be doing a part 2 covering the rest of the nonsense that he says in the rest of the interview. I only got up to an hour and 30 minutes when I listened to it originally. So maybe there's some surprises in there that even I'm not aware of. But mostly I think it's Steven Greer and his same old stories. So what else can I say, friends? That's all we got for you. We'll be back sometime this weekend. I will put it on my Twitter. Please follow me on Twitter at Steven Cambian. And like I always say, welcome returning subscribers. Please watch one extra video. It really does help the algorithms and helps them start recommending us, because then the algorithm knows that we make good content that people come back to, and they turn the dials just a little bit and say, that guy makes good content. We should recommend it more. So watch one more video. It really does help. Follow me on Twitter. It helps to know what's going on with the show at Steven Cambian. And we have a new website, truthseekershow.com, and you can get all of our latest audio episodes. The podcast is getting updated. We're uploading 2 or 3 a day, or 4 a day sometimes, trying to get through a backlog of a year's worth of shows when we started that we didn't put on the audio podcast. So there's plenty of extra content there. You can get all of our latest videos right from our website. And you can also sign up for our mailing list there. Just become a subscriber on the website, Truthseeker Show. Then you'll get a notice in your email anytime we post a new video or a new audio podcast. I know some of you don't get notices. The best way to prevent this censorship or shadow banning or any of that stuff, sign up on our website, become a subscriber on our website. You just put your email address in there, and we only send you an email. It's not a spammy thing. We just say, hey, here's a new video, so that you know. And we appreciate all of you kind and generous benefactors, you Patreon supporters, you Twitch subscribers, you channel members, you super chatters. PayPal donators, super sticker purchasers, and super thanks people. Remember, you can throw money at us on YouTube. If you're watching the YouTube, just hit the thanks button. It really does help. And we thank all of our chat room moderators. We thank our announcer, Ian, and Spooky for the amazing graphics. This was one of the best ones, Steven Greer ones ever. And I really enjoyed it. And we thank Simon Fly, who kindly and generously loans us some of his excellent music videos that are always themed about people who talk about UFOs and aliens. So we've done our due diligence for today, friends. It's been a great week. We've had 5 live shows. I'm going to premiere some production videos this weekend, and we'll do one more live show. That'll be the first time in a long time that we've done 6 live shows in a week. But I'd be happy to bring it to you. I just got to find, I got to really haul ass on the cabin building work so that I have a few hours to do this other half of the Steven Greer thing. But I will do it, and I hope you'll be here with me. So that's all we got for you, friends. Until next time, my name is Steven Cambian. Good night, and God bless all of you.
Unpack. Any evidence with extraterrestrial civilizations. Any evidence. Unpack. Any evidence with extraterrestrial civilizations. Any evidence. Rather be squiddy. Why would we get it? Why would we get it?